What up, what up? This is David from the 5-6 Kings. And guys, I came across a news article this week that I don't know how I let this slip through the cracks. This happened like late June. Franchisees are up in Subway. In case you guys were like, franchisees, what's he talking about? Subway franchisees are up in arms about the new 20-year franchise agreement that Subway was trying to get them to sign. Subway is giving you the opportunity to be a part of the greatest industry in human history for 20 more years, and you're up in arms? The fuck is you ungrateful sacks of shit. You know, first with the homophobia towards Megan Rapinoe. Megan, I love you, and I'm sorry that they treated you like that. First that, and then you're bashing the late great Fred DeLuca. And now this, like, guys, they're like, oh, it's bullshit. Like, we would have to work through an act of terrorism. Yeah, no shit. So they talked to a former franchisee. He was like, I was in the bubble when 9/11 happened, and like according to the new franchise agreement, I'd have to stay open. He's like, it's bullshit. No, fuck that guy. Fuck that guy. He got out. He's a former franchisee because he couldn't cut it in the sandwich business. During terrorist attacks, that's when people need Subway the most. And corporate Subway gets it. They say, you know what, fine. You want to close your doors? Fine. We take over the company now. We take over. Oh, you don't like the new franchise agreement? You want to stay on the old one? That's fine. You could stay on it. You owe us 10% of your profits. Gross profits. Sorry, not even profits. You owe us 10% of your gross income. As it should be. You guys should be giving them 20% of your gross income. They're the ones getting Steph Curry. It's not you guys globbing fucking sandwich out of her, globbing fucking mayo out of a squeeze bottle onto your sandwiches that Steph Curry's like, oh, I got to be a part of it. No, it is corporate Subway that's getting Steph Curry. They're getting Tony Hawk. They're getting Megan Rapinoe, even though you guys can't stand her and the lifestyle choices. You guys called them choices. You said she chose to be a lesbian. She was born a lesbian, franchisees. Shame on you. This homophobia will not stand. If I was Subway, I wouldn't offer you a franchise agreement. I'd say go be Quiznos. Go be Firehouse. Get the fuck out of Subway. Because we don't stand for that shit. Because we're good enough for Tony Hawk. And we're good enough for all you. Subway, eat fresh. And corporate Subway, I know you're listening. Please, give us money.
This the Palm Beach County anthem. All my Palm Beach County niggas, y'all put them fucking guns in there and bust them shit. Bitch, I'm from Palm Beach County, this where I'm from. My niggas get gunned down and left like rolled up just for fucking round. This ain't a county for you bitches to come around.
What up, and welcome to the grown-ass man's playground, known as the 5-6 Kings podcast. I'm David Breen. With me, as always, my dear friend and co-host, Braden Bullard. Braden, how are you?
I am doing good. I'm fucking hyped, and you're goddamn right. This is a grown man's playground, David.
Grown-ass man's
Grown-ass man's
Get
playground.
them titties out.
Yeah.
The good titties.
I've been making a lot of references lately to people sucking on tits as if it's like sucking on, like, you know, the tit of communism or capitalism, whatever it is. It's just always like, you were sucking the tit, yeah. I don't know why I've been making all these comparisons to people lately where it's just like, I've just been rubbing it in their faces. I've been being such an asshole. I could be like,
you're very confrontational. We talked about this last week.
Yeah, exactly.
I tried pointing that out to you, and instead you're just like, nope.
Yeah.
Doubling down.
Yeah, I've been using that. I don't know why. I think I saw it from like Rick and Morty or something. I've just been.
It's not from Rick
anyone
and Morty.
I debate. I throw that in there. I feel like such a dick. So guys, we're going to be going over my favorite movie of all time, Interstellar. David, what you think of it? Well, I don't know. I always just am so ready.
Just
to. Yeah, I'm always so ready to know. Like, David, what did you think about the movie?
I mean, I would never say it's my favorite movie of all time.
Okay.
It was an all right movie.
You know, I appreciate the honesty. Yeah,
it was good. Like,
it was
2 hours, 50 minutes, and it didn't feel like there wasn't a whole lot of long movies. I'm like, oh, they could have cut 20 minutes out of this. Didn't feel like that with this one.
Nice.
It felt like they had everything they needed in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good movie.
Yeah, that's a good feedback. Good feedback. Yeah. This is my favorite movie of all time just because I'm like so in love with space and I don't know, just the whole
even though the Earth is flat and space isn't real.
I know. I was just talking to you about how, the poles just kind of like outline it's
all a lie.
So that's how people don't fall off the
real.
edge, because there's a lot of worry about like, oh, well, if the Earth's flat, people should fall off the edge. Well, it's like, you don't understand. There's like these ginormous, ice caps that are just like these ginormous walls you can't get by, and that's why. That's why no one goes off the edge.
Yeah, and Australia isn't real.
That I did not know that. So you just told me that, and
Fake.
Wow, I didn't know.
Fake.
So all you out there listening, Australia isn't real. It's like, what would you say? It's like an island off of Africa or something?
I mean, it's just a lie is what it is.
Yeah. Been fed a lot of those lately. Am I right? Am I right? Yeah. So I love this movie. I personally would give it a 10. I mean, maybe we can't give it 10. I know David's given it 10 before. So if I can't...
I've never given it 10.
I thought you gave it 10 one time.
I've given
it's just a 9.9?
I've given several 9.9s.
All right, then it's a 9.9. Yeah. I don't know if we can ever give it 10, just like kind of...
There's one movie out there that will get a 10.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, this is a 10
I say
for me.
you act surprised. Every time I give a 9.9 on this show, I say there's only one movie that I'm giving a 10. Last week I even said, Braden, you know what the movie is. I said, don't say it on air, but you know what it is, and anyone who knows me knows what it is.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a 10 out there. We'll get there.
Mm-hmm. One day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure, shit isn't Interstellar.
Oh, fuck.
But we'll get there.
You're gonna shit on me now. Yeah, guys, so this was made in 2014. It is a sci-fi adventure film. It's 2 hours and like 45 minutes. So yeah, let's get to some of the ratings. IMDb gave it a 8.6 out of 10. Look at that. That's a high number.
Uh-huh.
That's some of the highest numbers I've ever fucking seen, David. Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 72%.
They get it.
That's like 30% more than they usually get. Yeah. Metacritic gave it a 74%. That's 2% more than Rotten Tomatoes. And then, fuck.
Google just gave it 100. They're like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it an extra thumbs up on Google. So now it's it went from 94 to 95. No, it's a 94%. Google gave it, and they're fucking right. That's how I feel about it.
It was fine. I'd give it like a 7.7, 7.8, like a high C plus. Like it's
pretty good.
Good, yeah. Like it's worth a watch.
Yeah.
I wasn't like, oh, this sucks. Let's wrap it up. Come on. Like I was entertained.
Yeah.
Which is all you ask for when you watch a movie.
Mm-hmm. So let me go into just a little bit about Christopher Nolan, which is one of my favorite directors and writers of all time. He was the writer and the director and his and producer, and his brother helped write the movie as well. But I wanted to say this before we really jumped into stuff. Early in the pre-production, Christopher Nolan had helped from this guy named Dr. Kip Thorne, and he helped lay down 2 guidelines that they wanted to follow. And one would be that nothing would violate the established physical laws. And that...
Can I guess two?
Yeah.
Everybody gets laid. Was that Dr. Kip's second rule? It's like everyone gets laid.
There's got to be a repopulation somehow or something, right? Am I right? Number 2 is that all the wild speculations would spring from science and not from the creative mind of a screenwriter. So basically telling Christopher Nolan, like, hey, listen, we can't do anything that defies what we know about relativity and the physical laws of nature, and everything needs to be coming from science and not just from like a sporadic creativity,
You know what I wish Christopher Nolan would have said to him?
Fuck you.
It's my movie. I can do whatever the fuck I want.
Yeah.
I get it. Like, yeah. Good.
No, yeah.
So Christopher Nolan reached out to him and asked for help. He's like, let's make this as realistic as possible. But it would have been great if it was just like, hey, it's my fucking movie.
Yeah.
We can't. I can.
Yeah. And then they clashed apparently at one point where they
because it's Christopher Nolan's movie and this fucking doctor's sticking his nose in there.
Well, I guess this is like, God, I'm trying to find what this doctor's like.
Christopher Nolan just keeps saying, "Hey man, you ever see Batman?"
He's like a really good. He's like, I guess, one of the best astrophysicists out there or some shit. So that's why.
Did he make Batman?
Christopher Nolan, or this guy?
This guy.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I guess they spent 2 weeks debating about some of the characters not being able to travel faster than the speed of light because it defies the laws of physics. So they ended up, I guess, not going with that. Even though it kind of seems like they do at some point, but they don't. Well, we'll get into that. They don't travel at the speed of light, though. But pretty cool that they worked with some really smart people to make sure that this movie, even though it is, a fictitious movie, it is based around like actual science. Like these things could, in a way, actually happen in reality because it's all based on science, or at least what we know.
Yeah,
so
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty.
This movie, there's a lot of points where like they're going into super detail about what they're actually doing. You could tell like the writers of the movie, like they've never done what they do in this movie.
Yeah,
like it's not a thing that's ever happened in life. But you think it was inspired by a true story?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I think
but
this
like,
might be.
But like the way the writing is, you could tell like they knew what the fuck they were talking about.
Yeah, they spent a lot of time making sure they kind of covered their tracks, because in a movie that's going to go so deep into like certain fucking aspects of science, I mean, I'm sure you could have a lot of plot holes that could fuck up a lot of things if you didn't do everything right, But let's get to the box office real quick. David, what do you think the budget was?
I'm gonna say $80 million.
80 million?
80 million.
I'll give you one more guess. Should I tell you if it's up or down?
No, of course.
Up.
It's more than 80 million?
It's more than 80 million.
Jesus Christ. Is it like... So, like, I want a third guess if I get it wrong here.
If you're way off, yeah.
Because I want to say 120 million. Is it less than that? Is it just 100 million?
It's more than 120
That's fucking
million.
crazy. What's the budget?
$165 million.
Really?
165 million.
What's the budget for like Avengers Endgame?
Should I look it up real quick?
Yeah, pull that shit up. Because like 165 for this makes me think Endgame was like 300 million. What's the budget? What's the budget?
Oh my god.
What's the budget?
You got to guess this.
I said 300 million.
It's more.
Jesus Christ. Hundreds of millions more?
No. You're like, it's not, I mean, it's a fucking boatload more.
350?
Like, yeah, $356 million.
All right, so you know what?
But I'm pretty sure, and it's either Endgame or Infinity War is the top I think it's Endgame. It's the top grossing movie of all time. Yeah. And it surpassed Avatar, which was the number one.
Yeah. So you know what? 165 for...
Oh, you want to know how much they made?
For this movie? Yeah, what'd they make?
How much do you think they made worldwide?
I couldn't even guess.
Over $700 million.
There you go.
Sounds like a good investment.
Getting
6 times or 5 times,
like 5 times, 5 and change, maybe.
Yeah, I mean,
good on them.
Yeah. I mean, can you imagine making that much money?
I could.
That's why Christopher Nolan is, one of the best of the best.
It's not even 5.
It's not.
No,
am I bad with math?
5 would be 800 million.
Holy shit!
Fuck that. Only 4 times their initial investment.
Yeah, what am I talking about?
Why'd they even make the movie? No, we're done. Turn this off. We're done doing the podcast, guys. Check us out next week.
All right, guys.
Every motherfucking Monday.
So, let's get to awards, right? Fuck it.
Let's hear it. How many?
Oh, you want to hear how many awards?
Can't be a lot, right?
Yeah, no, there's no way. One of the best rated movies of all time. There's no way there's that many awards. All right, so there's 148 nominations.
Nice. Let's hear one of those nominations.
Let me try to pick a good one, because fuck the Academy Awards and stuff. Am I right?
Yeah, I mean there was Academy Awards. Guys, we're not going to read through all these.
Yeah,
there are Academy Awards and Golden Globes, but the important one is
the Black Reel Awards for Outstanding Breakthrough Performance. Nominee David Gyasi.
Good for David Gyasi, man.
Yeah, good for him.
He had an outstanding. I mean, he didn't win, unfortunately, but it's an honor just to be nominated. I'm sure.
Yeah.
How many wins did they have?
You know what? I don't know why I brought up that one, because there's even a better one. The Danish Film Awards nominated Best American Film by Christopher Nolan.
There we go. Perfect.
Yeah. Because, everyone wants to win
A Danish Film Award.
Yeah.
Christopher Nolan was at the award ceremony, and he was furious that he lost.
What's
one of their wins? What's a big win?
Oh, big win?
Yeah.
Let's go to the Gold Derby Awards with...
Always go to the Gold Derby.
With original score by Hans Zimmer. Hans Zimmer. I know I do that all the time.
I think you've shouted out Hans Zimmer before.
Oh, yeah. He's my favorite. He's my favorite of all time. Favorite of all time. I'm not even kidding. I literally listen to the majority of all of the songs, the majority of this entire movie soundtrack and score. I literally listen to like almost a daily basis. It is some of the best background music to meditate to, or to like get inspired to, or like if you're in the gym, anything. It could be meditating, yoga, gym, all of it. It goes from like epic to, I don't know, just so makes you feel.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll have to give it a try.
So
look up some Hans Zimmer.
The Gold Derby Awards really knows what the fuck going on.
Guys, they had 44 total wins. If you feel like looking it up, look it up. But
no,
this is
44 wins. I don't know if I've ever heard of another movie having as many nominations or wins as this one.
I'm sure they have.
I'm sure there is, for sure.
Yeah.
But I just personally haven't stumbled upon yet. For the 5-6 Kings.
Unfortunately, Joyride wasn't racking in the awards.
Surprising, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So guys, we're not going to go over them. We have a 3-hour movie to break down here, and we're going to try and keep this around 2 hours because that's been the norm for us. So
yeah. So let's right before we start, let's go over a couple of the main cast members that we're going to be seeing in the beginning of the movie. It's going to be Matthew McConaughey as Cooper, and we got Anne Hathaway as Bran, Dr. Bran.
For those of you longtime listeners, you'll remember, if you're not familiar with Matthew McConaughey, just think of Gary Oldman's twin brother in the movie Tiptoes.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm. That is probably the best movie he's known for, am I right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then Michael Caine as Professor Brand, Anne Hathaway's father. So yeah, you want to get into this movie? I mean, that already stacked cast. We're not going to go through the whole cast yet, but yeah, already stacked cast.
I don't like that you pick those ones.
Who else should I put?
Oh, but Anne Hathaway and Michael Caine come in later in the movie.
Not really.
I had written down here for when Michael Caine comes on to be like, and get this, Alfred from the fucking Christian Bale Batman movies makes an appearance. Bad. I was stoked to say that part.
Yeah, there was a good part. Well, and then
we're jumping in. We're not naming. Don't name another actor.
No, this one's good.
No.
Timothy
I don't want you to name another actor.
Timothy Chalamet. He's in the beginning.
Yeah, and I have shit to say about him too.
All right.
Do you want to just? He's the vice president in Homeland's son. You want to just keep ruining this fucking podcast for me, man?
My bad.
I got things. I got a fucking agenda when we do this.
I didn't know.
Dude, almost every movie, there's an obscure actor that I know from something. Almost every movie we've done.
Sorry,
jumping in and ruining this.
I'm fucking this.
Let's jump in. All right.
Okay,
so Matthew, he's having nightmares. He's in looks like an Air Force fighter pilot jet. It's what it looks like he's in. You find out later it's not. But there's a bunch of beeping. They're screaming. He's like, I don't want to eject. I don't want to eject. And he just gets manually ejected out of it.
Yeah, he's like, power up.
Yeah. His daughter wakes up from this and comes to the room. She's like, I thought you were a ghost. He's like, there's no such thing as ghosts. She says, Grandpa thinks ghosts are real. And he says, that's because Grandpa's almost a ghost himself. And then it shows old people getting interviewed. And it gets the feeling they're talking about all the dust in the air. All the dust in the air. There's dust everywhere. My daddy was a farmer, and there was dust everywhere. And I'm like, oh, this movie takes place in like the 1920s dust bullshit. I didn't know they had planes like that back then. Maybe I'm wrong. So, guys, before I watched this, I saw a thing online, like the description on, I think it was on Prime.
Hold on, so you still thought this was, because in the very beginning...
At this point, I still thought this was real.
Well, in the beginning...
Dude, I called you when I was like, dude, this movie can't be real.
What's funny, the very first shot is, they show like the title Interstellar, and it's dust falling from a bookshelf onto a little plane air spaceship, or like a space shuttle. So
I fast-forwarded it until I saw McConaughey in the thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
So I saw none of that. I saw none of that. And it took me like 15 minutes of this movie to be like, this isn't a true story. This can't possibly be a true story.
Yeah, what are they talking about? One other thing the old people said was and I didn't understand this, they said the weed had died and we had to burn it all, but but all we had left was corn. I'm like, well, what? Like, okay, I get what they're saying. Like, they only have corn to grow now, but I'm like, what what fucking food did weed grow?
I'm not a farmer, dude.
Yeah, I know, but neither am I. But I'm like,
Maybe something. Who knows?
Yeah, I was like, replaying. I was like, did she?
Dude,
say
you're a fucking idiot. It said wheat.
Wheat. Oh,
come on, dude. We got a 3-hour movie to break down here. You're getting bogged down with your mispronunciations. It's wheat.
The
wheat wasn't growing.
Oh, okay.
So it's the morning. John Lithgow plays the grandpa. John Lithgow, Third Rock from the Sun. He's also Arthur Miller in season 4 of Dexter.
Yep.
He's a phenomenal actor. Plays grandpa. The son, this was my big moment, is the vice president's son in Homeland.
Who's that?
They're having breakfast. There's fucking dust everywhere.
Yeah, they're fucking serving up different dishes of corn dishes.
Yeah, it's all they eat is corn.
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy.
God, man, I fucking hate corn.
This is Braden's favorite movie. They're all eating corn just nonstop.
But yeah, and then what? Cooper or
Matthew McConaughey.
You want to call him Matthew McConaughey?
Dude, what are the odds I was going to call him Cooper? What are the odds I was going to call him Cooper once this whole movie?
No, but his daughter Murph, she was like talking about the ghost or something like that.
Yeah, she's saying the ghost. The kid, they're bickering. She's like, the ghost in my room. He's like, ghosts aren't fucking real. McConaughey's like, hey, don't be so mean to your sister. And he's like, you gotta come up with an argument to support why she's real. Like,
yeah,
give
you
her like a lawyer
facts
talk.
And analyze, ask the why, and then go from there, type of thing. Like trying to make her think, instead of thinking superstitious, think from science.
Yeah,
like trying to back that in the back of her head.
Yeah, which is great.
Yeah, good for
parenting.
Her. Yeah.
Him. Now he's driving them to school, and he has Murphy working the gears.
The grandpa's like, oh, there's a teacher or a parent teacher conference, not a grandpa.
Yeah, so he's like, I guess grandpa normally takes him, and he's like, you got to take him.
Yeah.
He has the Murphy, the daughter, working the gears. Then they get a flat tire, so they pull over. Before they change the flat tire, like a little plane thing comes over.
Well, the brother says it's Murphy's fault, and then the dad's like, it's not his fault or whatever, and then the brother's like, Murphy's law,
and anything that can happen will happen.
Yeah, and then she's like, well, why did you name me after something bad? And he's like, it's not that it's bad, it just means whatever will happen will happen. Yeah.
So that plane flies over, and McConaughey like freaks out. He's like, "Get in the car, we gotta go." And he's like, "We haven't changed the tires." He's like, "I don't care, fuck the tire, get
Let's
in."
Go. Yeah.
And they're driving. Like, if you've ever tried to drive on a flat, they're catching up to the plane.
I think it's the truck though that has 2 tires per side. I could be wrong.
Maybe, but it's a fucking like full on flat that he pulled over to fix.
Yeah. No, you're right.
And they're driving through the corn. They're just ruining the crops, chasing this thing.
You brought me to a fun fact. I'm going to be having little fun facts throughout this. You brought me to my first fun fact, David. The cornfields from the drone chase scene in Interstellar were real fields grown by the crew. After production, they sold the crop for a profit and recouped some of the costs of the movie.
Yeah.
Look at that.
That was
cool,
fun. Huh?
Yeah, that was a fun fact. Yeah.
So they're chasing it. His son almost crashes once and then almost drives it off a cliff.
Yeah.
He has the daughter. They're like scanning it. They have a laptop and guys, I'm so dumb. They have like a laptop and they're scanning it.
They're
hacking
it. Yeah.
This whole time, I still think it's like 1920s Dust Bowl.
Where'd they get that contraption?
I'm just like I was like, this movie's fucking crazy. There's no way they had all this stuff.
Yeah.
But they pull over. They stop at the cliff
and they're like, why are we chasing this fucking drone? The dad's like, well, it's got fucking supercells that can. I don't know, power our farm for a year.
Solar power can power all of our stuff.
Yeah.
Well, whatever. I believe him.
No, yeah.
Why would he make that up?
No. Yeah, I'm just saying, like, that's, like, the reason why.
So they pulled over. He hacked it and lands it on a bank. They go over. He, like, opens it up and grabs out the shit he needs.
Yep.
And then keeps taking the kids to school.
Well, and what's funny is somehow they put this, because they end up at the school. And you see in the background when they show up from the principal's office that, because he says, like, that's a fucking, he's like, that's a Russian drone or something, like, or an Indian drone. Yeah, Indian drone. He's got the entire drone. This is a huge drone, probably weighs like 1,000 pounds, and he somehow has it in the back of the bed of the truck. I'm like, how the fuck did he get this in the back of the bed of his truck?
Dude. It's Matthew McConaughey. Come on.
All right.
He can do all.
All right.
He can do all.
All right.
That's cute what you did. Keep saying all right.
All right, David.
So they're at the school, and the daughter's got to wait in the truck while he goes in and talks to them.
Yeah, they
The principal is like, your son's
fucking he's not that smart, so he's gonna be a farmer.
Yeah, he's like, he'll be a farmer. We need food. He's not going to college. He's gonna be his son's 15. He's like, here's your son's test scores. He's gonna be a farmer. He's not going to college. Maybe your grandkids will be engineers.
Yeah, and he's like, well, it's because this, that generation, we need people who are going to farm. We don't need people, who are going to be going to college. Maybe your grandchildren one day will be able to go to college.
Yeah.
Basically trying to say, like, everyone's in fucking in a shitty position worldwide. Like, we need farmers to grow as much corn because we're running out of food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then
Matthew McConaughey gets up fucking set and he says, like, this great line. So I'm going to, I got this. I'm going to quote this. All right. So they're like arguing. And then Cooper says, what's your waistline? 32, maybe a 33 inseam? Principal says, I don't see what you're getting at. And Cooper says, you're telling me it takes 2 numbers to measure your own ass, but 1 to measure my son's future? Boom. I'm like,
Boom.
God damn, Matthew McConaughey. That was fucking great.
So then he shifts over to his daughter's teacher, and she's like, she brought this to school, and it was a textbook. He's like, oh, it's my old textbook. She's like, it's all outdated stuff.
It was about like the moon landing, and she's like, that's fake, and she's trying to like teach the other kids in class that the moon landing was real.
The teacher's saying we teach our kids that the moon landing was fake and it was propaganda, so the Soviets would bankrupt themselves trying to keep up.
Yeah.
And she's like, we don't need all of that old technology and stuff there. He's like, all that old technology? We used to have MRI machines that would have found the cyst on my wife's brain that killed her, and then she'd be here talking to you instead of me.
Boom.
Which is just, it's fucking like, oh, look at me, my wife's dead. Like, bitch. And then teacher's like, so we wanted to have a plan at home how you're going to help us correct this behavior. And he says, I'm going to take her to a baseball game tomorrow. Give her some candy and some soda.
Yeah, I think I'll do that.
Yeah. And then he walks out to the truck. He's like, I got you suspended, kiddo.
Yeah.
Then they leave. They got a call on the radio. He has a radio in his car. In the truck, and there's something wrong with the tractor.
Yeah, all the tractors are like at the front door for some reason. It's like some weird anomaly within. It's like, so all the tractors are coded with like some, AI to make sure that they mow every certain part of the farm. But for some reason, they all end up at the front door. Now, I'm wondering, and I don't know if this is correct, but maybe when he took the drone was coded to go somewhere, and I think they used the drone to now power the mechanics, which maybe that messed with the algorithm. I'm not sure, but I was thinking maybe that's the reason that it messed with its anomaly, or messed with its code. And then Matthew McConaughey. We're going by Matthew McConaughey. I keep switching in my head. He like walks up. He's like, I fixed the anomaly to like the grandpa or something like that. Like they should be good.
Yeah, and Lithgow was a fucking doucher to McConaughey this whole movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, you're not meant for this world.
He's like, you're not.
You're still fitted.
He's like, you're stuck between like 2 different times. Like you're born 60 years too early, 60 years too late. He said something like that.
Yeah, he's like, you're ruining your kids. Blah blah blah. Like it's just fucking wild. Now they're at a baseball game, and Lithgow's like, we used to have real players. I don't know what this nonsense, who these fucking people are.
The grandpa's like, back in my day, we had some real players. Yeah.
and it's the New York Yankees. So it's like a little dig, like, yeah.
Well, then Matthew was like, well, back in my day, we were all starving too much to have actual baseball players. Yeah. Or something like that.
They have a good little rapport, and the grandpa's like, popcorn shouldn't be at a game. I want a hot dog.
So I'm guessing, like, the grandpa's generation is us, and then the next generation is Cooper, to where they all started starving, and then everyone converted to like new farming traditions with corn, I'm guessing. You know what I'm saying? And like this is like the little tie of like what's been going on over the past couple generations with, I guess, humanity.
Yeah.
And then like Cooper's like talking to his son about,
he's like, I think it's great.
You're gonna be a farmer.
It's great. You're gonna be a farmer. And he's like, oh, you think it's great? And he's like, it's important what you think.
Yeah.
He's like, I like the farm. I like what we do.
Yeah. And then the grandpa was right. Because a huge sandstorm, distracts the second baseman from getting a ground field.
Fucking not a real
ball.
Player.
Yeah, look at that.
Not a real player.
A runner's like,
it's a dust storm.
Dust storm, sandstorm, whatever.
It's dust. It's a dust bowl. It wasn't the sand bowl in the 1920s. It was the dust bowl. You ever read the Grapes of Wrath?
I did, but like,
how about that last page?
I thought it was supposed to be crazy.
How about that last page in the Grapes of Wrath?
I actually, it was so not crazy to me. I don't remember. What was it?
You're out of your mind if it's not crazy. So, like, it's like a historical Dust Bowl movie. And then, like, the last paragraph, like, the main character girl, has an elderly man suck milk out of her tit.
Oh, so this is all for a circle with my...
That is how... Dude, I'm not making that up. How crazy... That's how that movie, or that book ends.
There's been a lot of, like, tit-sucking shit and going on with... I don't know whether they're... It's the Grapes of Wrath. Pretty sure it was Rick and Morty. It was a bunch of shows that has just been telling me I need to keep insulting people when we're debating about
nothing about this says you should insult people. That's your weird confrontational energy. You got this fucking chip on your shoulder, and you're like, I just gotta get in people's faces. You fucking, it's concerning, man. It's concerning. Anyways, they're driving. They got
next time we're debating.
They got masks, and yeah, I'm sure you will, because you're a fucking angry person. So they got masks and goggles on, and they're driving through. They get home. Everyone's in there. Murphy left her window open.
She left her fucking window
blamed
open.
It on the ghost.
Yeah. They run in, they close it, and then they notice that all the dust is falling straight down to the ground in lines, in like segments. And basically, Matthew McConaughey's like, all right. Murph, get out of here. I'm gonna.
So I'm gonna be honest. I didn't catch that.
No, he didn't say all right.
No, not the all right. No, that whole thing. What I wrote down for that was windows open. She blames the ghost. He makes her leave, and he sits there all night. And then my next line is coordinates. I have no idea what the fuck is happening. is what I put.
So
I had no clue.
So what happens is he notices all of the dust that came into the room are falling in distinct lines in this one area of the room, and he sits there and starts studying it. Murph leaves. She comes back later that night, and all he says to her is coordinates. But then they end up finding...
He says gravity and flips a coin.
Yeah, that's right. He says gravity, flips the coin. And then he says like coordinates or something like that. And then they go downstairs, they get a map, they find where the coordinates lead to, and fuck, it's not that far from them. So he's like, all right, I'm going to go out. I'm going to go, go to the destination to see, what's at the coordinates. You guys stay here, whatever.
It's just her. Grandpa and Dad have left.
Yeah. And he goes and leaves. And funny enough, Murph's hiding underneath a blanket in the front seat and surprises him. And he's like, what are you doing here? And she's like, I'm the one that led you to him or something like that. And
yeah, so they show up at the facility, and he goes to cut the lock. It's a big fenced-in facility that the coordinates led him to. He goes to cut the lock, and a big light comes on, and he gets tasered. Things like, hey, get out of here, and then he gets tasered, and then the big light goes towards the truck, and it's like, don't be afraid, and the kid screams.
Yeah, she starts screaming.
Cut to inside. It's like this big mechanical-looking machine. McConaughey's talking shit to it like it's a person.
Dude.
And the thing's talking back, and you're just like, what the fuck's going on here? This is wild.
Dude, he was trying the shit. He called it a lawnmower.
He's like, yeah, you could be a good lawnmower, but I'm going to make you a vacuum.
Yeah.
That's what he said, yeah. He's like just talking shit. You're like, this is ridiculous.
And then like references something about how like you're not a Marine.
Yeah.
Marines don't exist.
He's like, you think you're a Marine?
So I guess
military doesn't exist anymore.
So I guess... Because then, and then a little bit later, they reference something about... Well, actually, no. So we'll get to that.
So Anne Hathaway walks in. She makes the machine stand down. They go back and forth. Nothing really important said there.
Yeah.
He takes her.
Just says that, like, your daughter's
he's
okay.
like, I want to see my daughter, and she takes him to see her. And they go into, like, this big boardroom where this would have been fun.
Sorry.
Alfred from Batman's fucking running the meeting, and it was his professor. In school, he's like, "Oh, Professor Brad, what are you doing here?" I'm like, "This is such a ridiculous movie right now." His daughter runs up, and
so that's Anne Hathaway, and then that's father and daughter. They're both brands.
Yeah, and the whole room's like, "How'd you find us? What are you doing?" And he's like, he tries lying to him at first, and
and at first he's like, "Well, I got to make sure we're gonna get out of here in one piece." That's like a little funny comment. They all start laughing.
He said, "I want to make sure we leave here and not in the trunk of some car."
Yeah,
and they're like, "Who the fuck do you think we are?" And then a door opens, and there's a space shuttle, and they're like, "We're NASA, bitch."
Yeah, we're motherfucking NASA, ho. You don't just stumble in, and you don't just stumble out.
Yeah, so like they're working on space shuttles, and then they go through, and Alfred's walking with McConaughey, and he's like, all the crops are dying. We found a wormhole with new planets.
Well, right before this is what I kind of wanted to say. Once when they said that they were NASA, Cooper's like,
you Googled it, and that stands for National Aeronautic Space Administration.
Yep.
There we go. Perfect.
Yep. No, but
that'd have been so great.
That's what it stands for, David. Did you know? Now, Cooper's like, I thought they shut you down, like the government shut you guys down for refusing to drop bombs from the stratosphere, onto millions of people. And then Dr. Brand, or Professor Brand, says, well, when they realized killing people wasn't a long-term solution, they brought us back in secret because public opinion wouldn't allow us to be trying to go through space exploration instead of feeding all the starving people in the world. So, like, they've been in secret this whole time. No, everyone, like, basically saying NASA was, like, done because
they're like, we can't afford that.
Yeah.
All our crops are dying.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So they're like, we found, they keep seeing they and someone showed us, like, but they don't specify who this is.
Yeah.
They showed us a wormhole that leads us to a galaxy with 3 planets that might be inhabitable. We've sent astronauts out there to check them out.
Yeah, so the wormhole is near Saturn in our solar system.
Yeah. And he's like, we need you to pilot it. And
he's like, an hour ago, you didn't even know I existed.
He's like, yeah, but we need you.
No, he goes, well, they sent you, is what he said. Or something like that. He was like, but they sent you. And he's like, so then Matthew McConaughey goes, well, who's they? And then they cut to like...
He's like, I can't tell you. So there's a plan A and a plan B.
Yeah.
Plan A, they're in just this massive building. It's like this whole fucking building becomes a space station and we fly it out of here.
Well, he's saying...
And I'm like, that's not gonna happen. That's crazy.
So plan A is... which they were already explaining how they had these Lazarus missions, and then Matthew McConaughey, I guess there's like a folklore of like Lazarus. I don't know exactly much about it. He's like, yeah, but Lazarus died before he came back to life, and there was like a weird kind of little moment. But they sent 12 people through the wormhole to 12 different habitable planets on the other side. They somehow found out through sending robots through that there were habitable planets. Then they sent 12 people to go to the 12 different planets because they didn't really have enough resources to like do more than that. So they sent 12 people like 10 years ago through the wormhole. And there was something else I was going to say. What were we getting to? Something else about the wormhole.
I don't know. I was on plan A and plan B.
Oh, yeah. So So that was part of plan A is what I'm getting to. So the Lazarus mission was part of plan A, and they were only able to send back. It was basically...
But plan A was bringing the people from Earth to
one
these
of the
planets.
Yeah, one of the habitable planets.
Plan B is making new people. We got fertilized eggs.
Yeah, so plan A is to find a habitable planet and then take everyone from Earth onto this ship, from them finding out the equation to gravity, using like the harness of the power of gravity to power this ship to take everyone from Earth to the habitable planet. That's plan A. Plan B is just to take 5,000 eggs and basically repopulate a new habitable planet.
Yeah. Start a new colony, make new people.
Yeah.
So they're back on the farm. Murphy's real mad that McConaughey's leaving. Lithgow's being a little bitch again. Lithgow's just riding him the whole movie. He's like, you're a real asshole. And then he's like, the boy will be fine. You need to make this right with her before you leave.
Yeah, because Matthew ends up choosing to go on the mission, and Murph is like super sad.
So we don't see a scene where he says, all right, I'll go, but it's understood there.
Yeah.
And Lithgow just said, don't make any promises you can't keep. Go make it good with her. And he goes up and talks to her, and he's fucking weird and manipulative to his daughter. He's like, look, baby, honey, they chose me. And no, you led me to them.
Yeah.
Like, puts it on her. I'm like, oh, this is crazy. And then she's like, I figured it out. It's Morse code, and it says stay. You got to stay. And he's just not believing her. He's like, no. He's like, with the black hole, the time's going to be different there. He's like, gives her a watch, and he's like, so we'll keep it. We'll have the same watches and the same time. But he says to her, by the time I get back, who knows? Maybe we'll be the same age. Can you imagine that? You and me the same age? And she's like, why are you, like, that's horrible. Why are you? Maybe you'll be back in 30 years.
So she's like, you don't know when you're coming back, do you? Crying.
Like, maybe I'll miss your entire life and you'll be an adult.
Yeah.
Like with a family and
he's
stuff
like, don't make me leave like this, Murph. And it's like a super sad scene.
Keeps putting it on her, though. Like, this is... Dude, this is... He's so much like his Tiptoes character. In the sense that he's just like, I just got to be emotional.
Maybe he thinks
I
she's
just
going to
got to
grow up
push
to be a
through it
midget.
emotional.
You know, she hasn't really hit that growth
They're
spurt
not midgets.
yet.
They're dwarfs.
I'm sorry, David.
You're a fucking asshole, man.
Hold on,
Angry, insensitive.
So as he's walking out and saying, like, you know, don't make me leave like this, Murph. Like, I'm sorry. I love you. I'm coming back. I promise you I'm coming back. As he's walking out the door, one of the books fall from the bookshelf, and he just, like, stares at it for a second. But really quick, I forgot to say this before we move to that scene. This is back at NASA. Professor Brand says this, and I just felt like this was kind of fucked up. So he's like saying, like, this is plan B. We're going to put the 5,000 eggs. We're going to repopulate this new habitable Earth. That's why plan A is a lot more fun, which is like a fucked up statement. But then, Cooper asked him, he's like, how far have you gotten on this equation of gravity? And he's like, I'm almost done. And he's like, so you want me to hang everything on it almost done? And Brand says, I'm asking you to trust me. He's like, find us a new home, and by the time you get home, I will have solved the problem of gravity. I give you my word. So then now we're at Matthew McConaughey in his truck, and he's driving back towards the NASA base to take off. And I love this. It's a great transition. You just hear the countdown from NASA as he's driving away, and he's crying, and Murph is running out now towards him as the truck is driving away, like screaming, Dad, don't leave, whatever. And at 1, blast off. Now Matthew McConaughey is with the rest of the astronauts. They're in the space shuttle, and they're leaving the orbit of Earth.
Yeah, so they're leaving. There's a robot. Tars is on there. He's making jokes.
Oh,
and
this is the fucking best.
I'm programmed to have some humor. Matt's flirting with Anne Hathaway, and she's like, you don't have to talk all the time. Just being honest. And then he goes, Tars, what's your honesty level? And he goes, 90%, because humans find anything more than that to be a little intolerable. And he just looks at Anne and goes, 90%.
Let me give the humor one. So, SARS, once when they leave the orbit, SARS goes, which is the robot, he goes, everyone good? Plenty of slaves for my new robot colony.
Yeah.
So then Cooper's like, we got a gigantic, sarcastic robot on board. This is great. And then SARS is like, I have a Q law I can use when I'm joking if you'd like. And Coop says, that'd be like a great help. SARS says, yeah, you can use this when you're finding your way back to the ship when I blow you out the airlock. Which is like, fucked up. It's like dude, if I just left orbit, I know I'm going on like a literal, like, huge, brave mission, and this robot is joking to me about blowing me out the airlock to find my way back to the ship.
Best case scenario. You know why?
I'm losing my mind.
do you know why that's best case scenario?
Why?
Because I don't have trust issues. I know that robot's not blowing me out.
Yeah?
I trust the robot.
After that robot literally knocked you out the day before for fucking touching a fence.
Following orders, man. Following orders. So they hook up to the space station outside of Earth. They start spinning, and Professor chimes in. They're on like a video conference with the professor.
Oh yeah.
And
David, I got to read it.
He said, "No, it's the poem. Do not go gently into that good night. It's a poem people have heard before. It's not like Robert De Niro's weird poem that he wrote. No, this is like a thing. Rage on, rage. Like it's a real.
Do not go gentle into that good night.
Dude, you're gonna stop right now because we have a 3-hour movie that we have to try to
Old
condense.
age should burn and rave at close of day. Rage against the dying of the light. I'll just say that.
So you're not even going to you're going to cut me off and be like, I have to do the poem. You know I have to do the poem. Fucking commit to it, dude.
Right,
fucking commit. If you're going to do it, do it.
All right, it's
Don't
3 more
stop.
lines.
But you know what?
Hold
on. But you know what? This poem comes up like 3 or 4 more times. You have to say it every time.
Okay. Though wise men at their end know dark is right, because their words had forked no lighting, they do not go gentle into that good night. Rage against the dying of the light.
Yeah, so that's what the professor says to them. And then, so it's them just on the space station. This one guy goes into, it's a sleep pod, And it looks like there's water in it, and then they're putting a thing over his face, and I'm like, are they drowning this guy in that thing? Like, it looks wild.
Yeah,
it looks super confined.
It's a hibernation pod.
Yeah. Like, it looks wild.
You didn't know about the hibernation pods?
I had no idea. So they put him in there, and Matthew McConaughey flirts with Anne Hathaway some more. He's asking about the other people that went out there.
And then Anne Hathaway is really fond of Dr. Mann, it seems like.
Well, she respects him.
Yeah.
She respects him. He's like, oh, he's the smartest out of all of us.
Well, it seems like that. So Matthew McConaughey becomes suspicious about that and goes and asks SARS, the robot.
No, we cleared this
or
up because you had it wrong.
Yeah, you're right.
And she didn't say a whole lot about the other guy, but like there was kind of like a look she gave when she talked about Edmonds, the other guy. And then when Anne Hathaway went in her hibernation pod, he goes to the robot and goes, "What's the deal with Anne Hathaway and Edmonds?" And he's like, I was programmed for discretion, sir. And he's like, all right.
Matthew McConaughey goes, poker face.
Yeah.
Like, I see you, Slim. He said something like that.
Yeah. So he records a message for his family and then goes in his sleep pod. Professor brings it to the family at the house, drives McConaughey's truck. So he's giving them the message from McConaughey and returning the truck. When McConaughey left, he told his son he could have the truck. So he's bringing the truck back for
Lucky
his son.
Tom.
Yeah, Lucky Tom.
Yeah.
And then he asked about Murph and asked Lithgow. He's like, maybe I can pick her brain a little bit or talk to her.
Yeah, the grandpa's like, yeah, she's already making fools of her teacher.
Yeah,
maybe she'll come and make a fool of you.
Yeah. So like he goes in, he's gonna talk to Murph. Everyone's awake on the space station. McConaughey's son recorded him a message. It's been 10 months, I think they were in hibernation.
Yeah, something like that.
It was a long time.
So now they're like passing Saturn.
Yeah,
which,
his son recorded him a message. Murph did not record him a message.
Which I gotta say, you guys, when you see this movie, you're gonna be blown away by like the imagery and the graphics and everything of Saturn and of space. I mean, it's very, very well done.
I don't know about blown away.
You weren't blown away that
I was like, oh, that's nice.
Bro.
Blown away?
I'll go over...
Blown away means I was like, whoa!
Dude.
Ooh, like that means I fucking lost it.
I'll go over some of the fun facts, but they talk about how these are some of the best well-done graphics.
You know who was blown away?
Who?
Romley.
Yeah.
Because McConaughey goes to check on Romley, and Romley's fucking losing it a little bit. He's like, we got a couple millimeters of aluminum here, and that's all that's protecting us from what's out there, man.
And then
he's like, I don't know about this. McConaughey's like, hey, man, he lies to him, by the way. There's no way what he says here is true. Well, he says, hey, man, some of the best solo yachtsmen in the world don't know how to swim? Which just can't be true.
Yeah, I don't know.
You're
if
a
that was
solo
true. I was
yachtsman.
Thinking that too. I was like, I don't know if that's true.
There's no fucking way that's true.
Isn't our fellow king's father a captain?
Yeah,
it'd be like saying Paul can't swim.
Well,
nonsense.
I don't know if he can. I don't know that he does it solo ever though. I imagine he does big boats. I imagine he has a crew or at least someone on there
for sure.
So if he fell in and couldn't swim, someone would save him.
Yeah. But yeah, so
they're approaching the wormhole, and McConaughey's like, why is it a spear? And then Romley spends some time explaining wormholes to him.
Oh, well, really quick, Matthew McConaughey gives Romley, did you say that? Gives him his headset or whatever so he can start listening to calm him? Just
calm him down. Yeah. Romley explains wormholes to Matthew McConaughey because Matthew McConaughey's a fucking moron and doesn't understand them.
So yeah, they were like,
he's like, whoa, why is it a spear?
It's a sphere. And he's like, well, you thought it was just a hole in space?
Yeah, he said the Earth's round, Matthew. It's not flat. All right, things aren't flat out here.
What are you telling me, David?
I'm telling you that the Earth isn't flat. I lied earlier in the show.
What?
So he brings them. They go through the wormhole. And they're kind of like, he's not able to control anything.
Oh, dude, your mind wasn't blown away here, David?
No, dude, so, like, it was cool, but, like...
What?
There's nothing they showed in this where I was like, whoa, this is, like, the coolest thing I've ever... Like, I've rode Space Mountain.
What?
This felt like Space Mountain. It was cool. Anyone who says Space Mountain isn't cool is a liar, but, like, I wasn't like, what? This is crazy.
That is insane. That's so funny. I love it.
It was a movie. Like, it's not like movies haven't shown stuff like this before.
Not to this detail. I wouldn't say to this detail.
So they're going through. This blurry thing is like reaching in through the side of the ship, and Anne Hathaway grabs it.
Yeah, and he's like, "That's a space time."
He's like, Romley's like, "Don't touch it." She's
Yeah.
like, fucking touching it.
Yeah,
she holds in. She's like, "That's them. That's them."
so
I shook their hand.
Yeah, so she had a handshake with a fifth dimensional being.
Yeah, and
going through a wormhole. That's fucking bonkers.
Then they're out through the wormhole, and so now they're in a different galaxy.
Oh yeah, and
they
were saying right when they're entering the wormhole, they're like, "Say goodbye to our solar system," and then Romilly was like, "To our galaxy." Said it in a really kind of cool, nerdy way.
So they are through the wormhole, and they realize this. They call it Gargantua.
Yeah,
it's this big black hole.
Fun fact time.
Let's hear it.
Fun fact about Gargantua. So the black hole in Interstellar named Gargantua is an accurate representation of how a black hole would look. It was produced by solving Einstein's equation in a simulation with the assistance of Dr. Kip Thorne, the guy that we were talking about earlier, and it keeps going. It is the most accurate depiction of a black hole in cinema history. Kip Thorne was so satisfied with the outcome, he wrote 2 papers on it. Neil deGrasse Tyson has also praised it. Hold on, there's more. The black hole was so scientifically accurate, it took approximately 100 hours to render each frame in the physics and VFX engine, meaning every second you see took approximately 100 days to render the final copy. Every second you see of this black hole took 100 days to render. That's how good the graphics are, David.
Yeah, black holes aren't real, though, so I don't know why.
Actually, there is. So they actually
I'm
went...
I'm joking. Come on.
Well, you know, because like flat Earth and stuff.
Yeah, but dude, like, I don't need, like, you have pictures up. You're like, no, look, because, like, black holes are real. We got this thing. Like, yeah, I believe all that shit. Stephen Hawking died believing that shit. I believe him. You've known me my entire life. You know I'm not serious when I say this stuff. So they're through the wormhole, and they realize the first planet is too close to the black hole, and they're like, fuck, all right, if we go on this planet...
It's going to suck up all the time.
Every hour we're on there is going to be 7 years.
Yep.
And McConaughey's like, maybe we don't go on the planet.
Yeah, so this is...
You ever think about that?
Yeah. So this is, and then him and the other astronaut get into like a little, kind of debate. I don't know exactly.
Doyle's the other guy.
Yeah, and but no one gives a fuck about him, am I right?
So Doyle says, we have a mission to think about. Stop thinking about your family.
And Matthew was about to fucking give him the tiptoe hands.
So Matthew McConaughey's like, Plan A doesn't work if we pull this off, and by the time we're done, everyone's dead. And the guy goes, that's why we have a Plan B. Like, just boom, boom, boom. So, like, they're like, yeah, we got to do it. Let's figure out the quickest way to go in there and do it. Yeah. McConaughey, QB's a plan, and, like, he's piloted in there. So everyone goes except for Romilly. Romilly stays back on the space station. I assume to monitor time. And
so the moment that they get there, here's a couple little fun facts.
No, real quick. Okay. I'm not done. Come on, they're not there yet. McConaughey flies in like a fucking lunatic. Everyone's like, hey, slow down, man. He's like, nope. we got the time's precious down here. I'm gonna get us down there, and just like just fucking so fast, and then like pulls emergency stuff, and like they right before they crash, like they stop and go down. He's out of his mind.
This is my big thing too. Is how did they know that the water was going to be so? So you go in and you see that the whole planet's water, and they do this crazy landing, like David was explaining, and they land in literally shallow 2-foot deep water, and it's like, how do they know that was going to happen? Like, what?
They just guessed.
What if it was
just a feeling?
Yeah. So right when they get into this scene, the soundtrack starts playing by Hans Zimmer called Mountains, and every single 1.25 fucking seconds, so every second and a quarter, you hear a ticking noise that goes along with the soundtrack Mountains, and that represents an entire day passing on Earth. So every time in this scene that you hear that little ticking noise, every tick is an entire day passing on Earth. So cool little fun fact.
Yeah, it's a cool one.
Right?
That's a cool one.
Yeah.
More of those.
Oh, all right.
More of those, less of like this scientist that I already told you guys is in it, because he wanted things to be realistic, made sure this scene was realistic and wrote papers about it. Like, none of that shit, but stuff like that, those are fun facts.
Yeah, right.
Those are fun facts.
I got you, bro.
So
Yeah.
it's water everywhere. Miller was on this planet.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we don't get to meet Miller. 'Cause
So
Miller
they're
fucking
landing
crashed.
where the location beacon or wherever is from Miller's spaceship.
Yeah.
And that's where they're landing. They're looking for it. So is it SARS? Is that the same robot or is it TARS now?
TARS.
TARS.
It's been TARS the whole time. You
TARS.
keep saying SARS.
Well, SARS
It's
was the
TARS.
one in the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, it says SARS right on the
It's
one
TARS.
that was initially
TARS.
interrogating.
It's TARS.
I
And then,
promise
and then
you.
case is the
There's
other
a
one.
SARS, a TARS, and a case. I promise you.
I really don't think there's
I
a
promise
SARS.
to God. Promise to God. But so TARS, Anne Hathaway, and the dude no one gives a fuck about. They're exploring. Matthew McConaughey.
Doyle. I care about him.
Doyle. They all go out and they're searching for the beacon and stuff. They find it and they're like, oh, it's all, it's just like a piece that's broken off. So like, shit. So they're trying to like go and find other pieces for some reason. I don't understand why. There was something about it where they're trying to.
Her data was on.
With the data,
thing.
yeah. They're
Anne
trying to
Hathaway
get the
wanted
data.
to get her data.
Somehow fucking Anne Hathaway, as Matthew McConaughey notices that they're not mountains, they're waves. She somehow gets fucking trapped underneath.
So it's a humongous tidal wave like tsunami. They're not surviving it if they get hit by that.
Exactly.
They need to fucking roll.
And he, so as she like somehow gets trapped underneath one of these, little pieces, he goes to the back of the ship and notices that they're stuck in a swell and that there is another gigantic wave coming right for them, and starts screaming at fucking the dude no one gives a fuck about and Anne Hathaway to get back into the ship. And the dude that no one gives a fuck about is just kind of standing senseless, like, I don't know what to do. And then TARS,
Because he wants. No, he tells TARS to go do it.
oh yeah, he tells
He says,
TARS,
go
do it.
get her.
Yeah. And
Don't you shit? You're shitting on Doyle unnecessarily here, man. This
Yeah,
is crazy. What did Doyle ever do to you?
He pieced a fight with my dog Matthew, bro. I didn't like his tone. So TARS goes and pulls the piece off of Anne Hathaway, picks her up, and TARS could fucking run, boy. Let me tell you, dude,
great.
fast as shit. And this wave is huge. The score by Hans Zimmer is amazing. Super epic moment. They get into the ship, but besides Doyle, the dude no one gives a fuck about, he doesn't get in the ship in time. Matthew McConaughey closes the door, but the engines get flooded, and now they're on the wave, and they're like basically riding this ginormous wave. Be cool to have a little ride made out of it. And they survive.
Like Splash Mountain?
Yeah, like Splash Mountain.
They got Space Mountain. They got Splash Mountain.
Yeah, exactly. And they survive. The dude no one gives a fuck about doesn't, Doyle. And now Cooper's like super upset with...
Who?
Oh, Matthew McConaughey. Okay. Super upset with Anne Hathaway.
He's yelling at her. He's like, you guys got the survival skills of a fucking Boy Scout.
Oh, fun fact time. As Anne...
You're not just disacknowledging his Boy Scout comment.
Yeah, that was a great comment.
To this NASA scientist.
Yeah.
Says you have the survival skills of a fucking Boy Scout.
And she's like, we've made it here farther than any other human in history. And he's like, well, not far enough.
He said, tell that to Doyle. That's what he said.
Yeah, we'll tell that to Doyle.
Like, he's just so fucking petty and mean at times.
It's great. But right before this, when Anne Hathaway was trapped underneath the piece, which I think she's like, overselling this, but she said that she almost caught hypothermia while filming that scene because she had a leak in her spacesuit to cause it to fill with like freezing cold water. I guess they were shooting somewhere that was like really cold.
Why do you think she's overselling that?
She's like, I just felt I started getting a little numb, so I thought I had hypothermia. But it wasn't like it was like a doctor. It was like, it's like her just saying, like, I think I got hypothermia.
Maybe the doctors on the set said it. You fucking shitting on. This isn't a fun fact. This is I want to.
Well, listen,
I want to shit on Anne Hathaway right here. Hey, where do you think the most cases of hypothermia happen every year?
This is a trick question. Florida.
It is Florida.
Oh my God.
Yeah. She might almost had hypothermia. Get the fuck off Anne Hathaway's back.
All right, my bad, bro. But yeah, another little fun fact. So yeah, they're back in there. They're back in the ship, and
he's asking her. He's like, can we like go through the black hole and and turn time back, and Anne Hathaway's just like, what are you, fucking child? No, we can't
and
do
she's
that.
like, to the fifth dimensional beings, like, time might be another way to manipulate, you know.
But just the fact that he's a grown man, and he's
it's
like, can we, like, turn back time and get a do-over? And
Come on.
And she just looks at him like, what? No.
Well, she says a key line, too. She says,
No,
the only...
we can't do that.
Yeah.
Matthew.
She said a key line, though. She said the only thing that can move through time other than time is gravity. Is the only thing that we know that can kind of move through time in a way that we don't understand. But saying like these fifth dimensional beings, you know, time might just be a realm dimension to them that they can control. But to us, it's different. And, you know, we can only, you know, relativity is still present to us. Like it's still acquired to us. Like we're not beyond that just because we went through a fucking wormhole.
Matthew is, and he knew it.
All right.
So another wave is coming, and he's like, where are our engines at? And the computer's like, we need another couple minutes. He's like, we don't have a couple minutes. I'm going to spark it. Which, that was in the cards?
Yeah. I didn't know that either.
Why was he wasting time just shitting all over Anne Hathaway and yelling at her? Go spark it right away, Matthew.
Well, I guess it had to drain to a certain extent, and then it's probably like
yeah,
it's still a little wet, so it's like you have to...
Dude, no. Stop what you're doing right now.
What?
He should have been sitting at the thing being like, you gotta let me know as soon as I'm able to spark this. I want to get out of here.
Yeah.
Because he just fucking cranks it up and then they fly out of there.
Well, and then I might have heard them wrong, but I thought Tar said it's going to take 45 minutes to an hour, and then they talked for 5 minutes, and it's like, oh, another wave's coming. We're good now, though. We can go. But
no, Tars didn't say we're good. He's like, still need a few minutes. He's I'm sparking it.
But do you think, though, that they were trying to make it seem like 45 minutes had passed, or was it like...
I think McConaughey could have done it from the get-go. And he's like, I want to yell at Anne Hathaway. Yell at her.
Yeah.
So now they're back on the space.
Well, hold on. And then they barely get away. They, like, fucking flew out
they get
inches away from the wave. It was very intense.
They get away.
For the viewers, you know?
At no point did I think, the main character is going to die right here, and that's how that movie... It's not intense. You know he's making it out of there. They get to the space station, so Romley's in normal time. His life's moving as it normally would. He wasn't on the planet. And he's like, it's been 23 years, 8 months, and 5 days.
Holy shit.
And Matthew McConaughey's like,
And they basically said, too, right then, like... Or Anne Hathaway said something about, like, I didn't realize it was different. Like, it was basically worse than what they predicted it would be for the time dilation.
Well, she didn't realize how much it was going to affect her, is what she said. She's like, I thought I was prepared for this, but I
thought she was saying it was even longer than what they predicted.
No. She was like, mentally, she thought she was prepared for it, but she's like, I'm not.
Well, because it doesn't make sense, because they were only there if TARS was, you know, maybe an hour and a half.
It's a movie.
But I'm saying an hour
We have no idea
for
how
7
long
years, because they were saying, but that's what I'm saying. They were saying 1 hour on that plane.
Yeah, but we have no
years.
idea how long they were there.
No, yeah, exactly. I'm just going off of like the assumption of when TARS
years.
said.
So Anne Hathaway asks about her dad, and the guy's like, "Oh yeah, he's alive." Which, in 2014, Michael Caine was 81 years old. Guys, mark my fucking words. Michael Caine will be dead before the year 2037. Michael Caine is not going to live to 104.
I was thinking like... Okay,
mark my fucking words.
Yeah, so mark David's words. But like, you know, in the realm of fictitious belief, like maybe there's a way he lives to 103. But there's no motherfucking way he's in the condition or the look.
He looks exactly the same. He's just in a wheelchair.
Literally, like
nothing
his
else
beard
is
got
different.
like a little bit more grown up. I'm like,
crazy.
What?
It's crazy.
And
Matthew McConaughey has 23 years of family messages, and the vice president from Homeland's son turned out to be Casey Affleck. What are the odds?
Casey's just now a fucking dick in this movie.
Not at this point. He's sent them. There's years of messages, and then progressively,
yeah.
He sent less. He had a kid. He's got a girlfriend. All this shit.
Yeah.
Lithgow's dead, and that was the last. He's like,
my wife.
We buried him in the back next to mom. My wife tells me I need to let you go. So this is me letting you go. Goodbye, Dad. And then he gets a message from Murph. Murph turned into Molly from Molly's Game. Like, what a successful family this is.
Yeah.
You think Casey Affleck
just gets better
and Molly's
and better.
Game. Like,
Yep.
they're crushing it.
Mm-hmm.
Murph leaves a message saying it's her birthday, and she's now the same age as when Matthew McConaughey left, so you said maybe you'd come back when we were the same age, so now'd be a good time to come back, Dad. And then hangs it up.
That is so sad.
That is the only. So that I got a little. I was like, oh, this is fucking sad.
Oh, Matthew McConaughey is fucking doing great.
That is the only part in this movie where I was like, oh my God, it's horrible.
Bro, they really get you in. Let me tell you, folks. I mean, you are very emotionally invested at this point, and if you're not, then you are soulless.
You're made of stone.
Yeah.
So she turns it off, and then we're in real time with her, and she works for fucking NASA.
Yeah,
she's at the building, and the professor's
there.
Yeah.
So she's like basically Professor Brand's like right-hand person now, and she's now taking upon the gravity equation almost into like her own hands.
And so she's in her office, and she's looking at his math and stuff, and she's like, you got this thing like all wrong. Like you've been trying to do it with both hands tied behind your back.
Yeah, because he was like, well, let's run it like again and again after like 100
so
times.
she's like realizing that it's like way off, and he just goes, yeah, can we not talk about this?
No.
And then leaves the room.
What she says is, you've never changed your assumption on time. So you're making this equation harder because you're never changing this variable, and you want to keep running the equation over and over, and you're going to get that's like basically madness.
The important part here is that like she realizes it, and he just goes, yeah, I don't want to talk about this. He's like,
exactly.
I want nothing to do. Like he's like, I'm out of here. And
which made
leaves
me, the viewer, suspicious.
I was like, what's this fucking guy's deal?
Yeah, what's going on? She's about to crack the code, and now he's just walking away.
He's
after
like, no,
40 years.
Let's move on.
Yeah.
So back at the space station, they don't have enough fuel to go to the other two planets. Edmonds is on one, Dr. Mann is on the other. Hathaway is like, let's go to Edmonds.
She's like trying to persuade them to go to Edmonds.
Blah, blah, blah. McConaughey's saying, let's go to Mann's. And then he's like, Rom has a right to know why you want to go to Edmonds. She's like, that has nothing to do with it. Rom's like, what's going on? He goes, she's in love with Edmonds. And she has a whole thing about how, like, maybe love is a real thing. It's something that can't. Do you have a fun fact right now? You're looking at your phone.
No.
Okay. Maybe love's, like, it's a tangible thing, blah, 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 this whole thing. Bottom line here, they're going to Mann's. McConaughey's like, I don't fucking trust you. You're thinking with your heart. I'm away from my kids. Fuck you. We're going to Dr. Mann's planet.
Dude, yeah, and this gets thrown right back at him in, like, the next scene.
But before we get there, we got to take a trip back to Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Molly's Game is visiting Casey Affleck. He's running the farm now. He's burning crops. She stays for dinner.
That principal was pretty right, huh?
Yeah, he's a great farmer.
Yeah.
He's a great farmer. They eat dinner. Casey Affleck's wife keeps telling Molly's Game to stay, and she's like, nah, too many memories. And Casey Affleck gets up from the table, and Molly's Game tells the wife, the kid's coughing real bad. And she's like, I have a doctor who can take a look at his lungs. And the wife, like, gives her a look, and then when Casey Affleck walks up, she's like, don't shut the fuck up. Don't talk, like, don't talk about this.
Yeah.
Which is weird, but then we leave, so we don't know why all of that was going on. We're back on the space station.
Oh, yeah, and Dr. Brand, basically throws it right back in Cooper's face and basically says,
Who?
Matthew McConaughey's face, and,
Who's Dr. Brand?
Oh, that's Anne Hathaway.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay. So Anne Hathaway is talking to Matthew McConaughey, and she's like, yeah, I really hope you made the right decision because if you're wrong, then you're going to really have to be making a really hard decision on whether you're going to see your kids again or the fate of the human race. So I bet it won't be as subjective then.
Yeah, she's basically saying if we go to Dr. Mann's planet and it's not good, we don't have enough fuel to go to another planet and get home, so
your choice might just be as subjective as mine when it comes to love. So check yourself, fool. That's what she kind of said. So
we're back on Earth real quick. The professor's in the hospital, and Foreman from that 70s show is the doctor. And he's bringing Molly's Game in to see the professor. Professor's dying in the bed. And the professor's like, I lied to you. We didn't need your dad. There's nothing he could have done to help us. Plan A is impossible. We don't have, we got to have more knowledge of black holes, which we have no way of getting. He's like, we're never going to save everybody.
Yeah, like.
And she's like, what? She's like, did my dad know? And then he says, he doesn't say the whole thing. He just says the one.
He just barely, as he's like passing out, he goes, do not go gentle into that.
Fucking wild.
And he fucking
says
dies.
that too much.
Yeah, and then he fucking dies as he's going out like that. I'm like, man, he is he's got some fucking demons. I mean,
So basically,
Plan A was always a lie.
Basically, I knew we were never going to get people out of here. I have people working on it and shit, but I knew that was never going to work.
The main plan was to find a habitable Earth and just reproduce the habitable eggs, or the fucking eggs.
Molly's game, she sends a message to Anne Hathaway letting her know her dad's dead, and then asks, she's like, did you know that this was a lie? Did you know there was no way to get people here? And she sends the message.
Yeah. Yeah, which is like, that's going to be shitty to watch.
So they show up on Dr. Man's planet. It's cold as fuck. It's like
and as they're coming
it's
in,
Arctic.
This is another little Matthew McConaughey moment. He accidentally hits a cloud that is a fucking ice cloud.
Ice cloud.
Yeah, and he's like, oh shit, that's
ice
an ice
cloud.
Yeah.
So they land. You got a fun fact?
I do have a fun fact.
Without giving away who the actor is that plays Dr. Man?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the fun fact is that on one of the films that Christopher Nolan was shooting, it was one of the Batman films when they blew up, I think, it was Inception, when they blew up that, in the dream, when they blew up that big thing or whatever, I forget what it was called, this big fucking place.
Kindergarten?
No.
We'll just say it's a kindergarten. They blew up a big kindergarten. And
basically, the ash covered the ground, and they just basically reused the set for this planet. So
that's cool.
The ashy ground that you're seeing was actually from the set Inception.
Look at that.
Yeah.
You got a $165 million budget. You gotta pinch pennies when you can.
Yeah, exactly.
I respect that.
Yeah.
So they go into this little compound that Dr. Man is. He's in a hibernation pod, and they wake him up. And get this, guys. Matt Damon plays Dr. Man. I had no idea. Any of these people were in this movie. I thought it was just Matthew McConaughey and Anne Hathaway.
Dude, it
doing
was like
shit all day.
I think it was like the year before that The Martian came out with Matt Damon. So
dude. My first thought was, is this like The Martian? What are we?
Are they connecting two
films?
films?
I was like, what the fuck's happening?
But yeah, so that must have been a fucking year for Matt Damon.
Yeah, what a movie this is. You know? Matt Damon immediately just starts weeping, and McConaughey holds him in his arms as he's just crying.
Yeah, he's like, I completely exhausted my resources before I went to sleep, and I never put a waking date, so you literally raised me from the dead.
Yeah, just like Lazarus.
Yeah, exactly. Then
they say, tell us about the Earth. And he tells him, he's like, it's cold. He just keeps saying it's cold.
He's like, it's dark, it's beautiful, it's 67 hours long, and then the night is even colder, and it's 67 more hours.
67-hour days, 67-hour nights, really cold.
Cool little thing they said is the gravity is 80% compared to Earth. So, you can kind of, bounce here a little bit and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's he's saying it's livable. He's saying it's really nice. It's going to work.
And I guess they're at a different elevation where they are, and he's trying to tell them that the Earth is habitable. We're at a part of elevation where there's just a bunch of ammonia in the air, but once you get down to the Earth's surface, there's alkalized water and there's habitable life and oxygen.
Yeah, so he's talking it up. He's like, we're not in a good place right now, but I'll show you guys the good places. This is great here. During all this, Hathaway gets the message from Murph and just plays it in front of everyone. And she looks at McConaughey, she's like, I had no idea. And Damon's like, I fucking knew.
Yeah, Matt Damon's immediately like, yep.
He's like, I was always the plan. I was with him when he realized the math wasn't going to add up and he wasn't going to be able to figure it out. And then he says a great line. He goes, we are the future.
Yeah, and he goes.
Anne Hathaway asks Matthew McConaughey what she can do, and he goes, "Just let me go home."
Yeah, and
I'm over it.
And then Matt Damon's like, your father, he sacrificed his whole reputation. It was an incredible sacrifice. And then Matthew McConaughey's like, the incredible sacrifice is being made by all those lives on Earth that are going to be caused from his arrogance.
He goes, they're dwarfs. I'm a dwarf.
Yeah, and then he's probably just thinking about creating a new habitable Earth full of just, dwarf babies.
Yeah. So we cut back to Earth here, and guys, it's about to get real smoking aces-y. So we're just not going to do that. We're going to do everything on Earth.
Wait,
Braden, you got a fun fact?
No, it's just Matt Damon was going over how Plan A was always a lie, and how Professor Brand knew the equation before the Lazarus missions were ever even sent. So they knew that he solve the equation to gravity, but he said something about how relativity wasn't able to be done with quantum mechanics yet because they didn't have enough data from not being able to see from inside the black hole. So they needed something to pass the threshold into a black hole to see how a singularity worked, to be able to get enough data to like mesh relativity with quantum mechanics. Fuck. Go on, David.
There we go. So we're back on Earth. Molly's Game and Foreman are driving in the car. She pulls over on the side of the road and is like, I think the ghost from... It's fucking wild. She's like, I think there was a ghost in my bedroom, and everyone thought I was afraid of it, but I wasn't afraid of it. We were friends, and I think it can help me right now. If I'm Foreman, I'm just like, no, we're not doing that. Like, get the fuck out of here. He's like,
Yeah.
He's like, okay, let's go.
She's like, if there's one answer on this entire Earth that's going to help us from the brink of extinction, it's in that room.
It's the ghost from my childhood bedroom. I'm just like, this is a fucking...
Dude, if I am like a highly trained nurse who's very smart that works for NASA, I'm probably going to be like, dude, I don't think so. I think we need to go back to NASA and work on the equation.
And but he's like, okay. They go to the house. Foreman is checking on Casey Affleck's kid. Casey Affleck isn't there. And he's like, kids...
They do a diversion, so they go and they set up...
He's like, the kid's not good.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, come on, dude. Quit cutting me off, all right? I know exactly where we are.
Sorry, David.
He's like, kid's not good. He needs to get the fuck out of this house now. And then Casey Affleck walks in and sees him with the stethoscope. And he's like, fuck is this? Like,
you're actually caring for my child?
Yeah. And Foreman's like, dude, you got to get your kid out of here. He's not going to survive here. Casey Affleck just punches him in the face.
Yeah, nothing.
Punches him in the face. And he's like, we're not going anywhere. We're not we're not leaving. You guys need to get the fuck out of here. And then Molly's Game's like, what do you want? Do you want another kid to die? So you find out his other kid died at this house. So you want to bury him in the backyard next to your other dead kid? And then Casey Affleck's like, you guys need to leave. So Molly's Game and Foreman leave, and they go out. She cuts off to the side, cuts through the corn, and sets a big fire on the crops. That's the diversion that Braden wanted to come in and tell me all about.
Yeah, my bad.
Sets fire to the crops, so Casey Affleck has to go out there. And then Molly's Game and Foreman go back to the house. They get the wife and kid out of the house. Foreman's yelling at the wife and kid.
Yeah.
He's like, get in the fucking car. Let's go. It's crazy.
And, it was all that 70s show, just
Molly's
instinctive.
Game goes up into her room. It's like stoic. She's quiet. She's kind of like taking it all in. And then she finds the watch. Mm-hmm. I think that's where we'll stop on Earth for now.
Yeah.
I think we'll come back to Earth. But she found the watch.
Yeah.
We're back on Matt Damon's planet.
Mm-hmm. Back on Matt Damon's planet. Matthew McConaughey is like talking to Matt Damon a little bit, and he's like, I want to help you secure these sites before the end of the night, because Matthew McConaughey is on a like a very timely basis now because he wants to get back
real
home.
Quick before that. Braden's jumping the gun here.
Oh, my bad.
McConaughey's like getting ready to leave. Romley comes in and talks to him and is like, hey,
oh, yeah.
You should take Tars with you. Mm-hmm. Have him check out the black hole.
They're saying they're going to drop Tars into the black hole so they can get enough data to try and find something to save humanity.
He's like, he might be able to collect the data we need to make Plan A actually work.
Programmed him to be able to do that or some shit.
Yeah, you're like, oh, shit, all right, that sounds cool.
Yeah, nice.
And then McConaughey and Damon.
Yeah, so Matthew McConaughey is like trying to get home to his family and basically tells Matt Damon that like, hey, yeah, I'm trying to secure these sites before the end of the night. And as they're walking, they're talking and
Damon's he's fucking weird. He's talking about how like, why we had to use humans for this because our survival instincts and
go beyond death
and your instincts because of your kids are even more, and the last thing you'll see before you die is your kids, like,
and like the robots wouldn't have that,
and he's just saying it so weirdly and like smiling and calmly, and you're like, this is fucking odd.
Yeah, really really weird. And then so they're like walking around, but at first too Matt Damon was being really cool. Like if he had this in the back of his mind the whole time, then he was being really slick by it, because he was like telling Matthew McConaughey, like, all right, well, there's kind of like a storm coming in. I don't know if we should. Matthew McConaughey is very persistent because he's like, yeah, I need to do this because I need to get the fuck out of here and go home. And so they're like, all right. And Matt Damon's like, you got all your stuff to make sure you're good. Like they have like this communication device that you can communicate very far distances.
You don't know that.
That's no, because even
do they say that?
Yeah, because even
I thought you were making that up.
No, because even in the very beginning when they start walking away, the spaceship is flying in and he walkies to it, and this thing is like miles away from him. And so they're walking, and they get to a point, and they're at this like one cliff. I don't know how to describe it because this planet's kind of weird.
Whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're almost looking at like a drop off, and it just goes to like blackness. That's how far down it goes. But to the right of it a little bit, there's like a little drop off to where you can land and it doesn't go into darkness. And Dr. Mann is Matt Damon is
Matt Damon.
I'm Matt Damon. And they look out to the planet.
Real quick.
What is that from?
Do you know why they did that in Team America?
No. Oh, okay, I thought you were
It wasn't to fuck with Matt Damon. They said, and I'm quoting them, they said the Matt Damon puppet just came out looking retarded. So they're like, let's just lean into that, do a weird voice, and have him just say Matt Damon. Yeah, like they're friends with Matt Damon. Like, yeah, it's just like he happened to come out that way, and they're like, well, we can make this funny.
I would love to see Matt Damon's reaction to it.
Matt Damon talked about it. He's like, yeah, it was odd, like I'd like to think I'm like an intelligent person, and I'm not someone who can only say my name and not even say it particularly well. He's like, yeah, Matt Damon had a great response. He's like, I'm not sure why they chose to do that, but it is what it is.
Yeah. So they're sitting at the top of this cliff, looking outward, over the world, and Matt Damon says, "I never really considered the possibility my planet wasn't the one." Wasn't the one. Nothing worked out the way it was supposed to. And then just disconnects the communication device from the back of Matthew McConaughey's helmet and just fucking throws it. And then Matthew McConaughey's like, what the hell? And then Matt Damon just fucking pushes him off. Yeah. But, luckily there's only 80% gravity compared to Earth, so he doesn't really fall. He kind of like gently goes down the side.
Goes down and he's grabbing on.
Saves himself, and Matt Damon's like, oh shit. So Matt Damon has these spiked boots where he can like kind of crawl down to him, and he starts trying to kick him with his fucking spiked boots. And Matthew McConaughey is just, smooth with it. Has these like, I don't know what to call them. Like jetpack air propulsion fucking things that help you.
These like little rocket jets
in
his elbows.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And he like use it, like shoots out air to help you like land, when you're jumping down from, places. And he like uses that to hit Matt Damon's boot from where it was stuck into the ice, wherever the fuck it is. And then they both go falling down to the side, and they start wrestling, and Matthew McConaughey gets on top and like holds Matt Damon down, and Matt Damon starts like using
real quick. So McConaughey, or Damon, while he's doing this, he's like, I can't let you take that ship. We're going to need it once they realize that my planet, like, we can't live on it.
Yeah.
And McConaughey's like, you faked all the numbers? He's like, I fucking faked all the numbers.
He's like, the day I got here, I knew that this planet wasn't habitable.
I knew it wasn't habitable. I faked the numbers. And McConaughey goes, you fucking coward. And
he goes, yes!
Yes! Yes! Yes to that.
If I just knew, that if I pressed that button, that someone would come and save me.
Yeah.
And it's
like, you fucking coward. Yes.
Yes. And then just like they start fighting and wrestling, and Matthew McConaughey gets on top, and then he's holding Matt Damon down. Matt Damon just starts headbutting him. And Matthew McConaughey goes, stop. There's a 50-50 chance you might just kill yourself. There's a pause. Matt Damon goes, that's the best odds I've had in years. It fucking just keeps headbutting. Great line.
So Bust like cracks his thing open. So McConaughey is suffocating
because there's ammonia in the air.
Cracks the thing open, and Damon goes. He's like leaving, gonna let him die, and he goes, "Are you seeing your children?" Like he's not being a dick about it. He's like, "Are you seeing your children?" He goes, "Don't judge me. I'm doing this for you. Doing this for the planet."
Many men have been tested like I have.
Yeah. No man has been tested like I have.
Yeah.
He's like, don't judge me. And then he does the poem. He says the poem. Braden?
Do not go gentle into that good night. Old age should burn and rave at close of day. Rage against the dying of the light. Though wise men at their end know dark is right, because their words had forked no lighting they. Do not go gentle into that good night. Rage against the dying of the light.
Unfortunately, I think that's the last time we hear it.
Yeah.
That's a big shame.
Big shame.
So McConaughey notices the communicator thing that Damon threw, which, if you're going to... leave it up there if you're going to push someone off a thing.
Or throw it down the fucking... Make sure it goes down the...
Don't throw it where you're pushing the guy.
Yeah.
So McConaughey crawls to it, and he's, like, covering the thing, and he's able to say, hey, come help me. Come help me. I'm dying over here. Hathaway jumps in a ship, flies over, gets him on oxygen.
Well, this is where Matt Damon makes his big mistake. He goes, I'm sorry, Cooper. I can't... Matthew McConaughey. He goes, sorry, Matthew McConaughey. I can't go through this. I thought I could help you. And then, like, shuts off his...
No, I thought I could watch.
Yeah.
I can't watch. I thought I could. Then he just keeps going, I'm here. I'm still here with you. Like, he's being so, like,
and
weird,
then after
like,
a while, he's like, I'm
supportive
sorry, I can't. And then, like, turns off his communication device. So now he can't hear anything. So he doesn't know that Matthew McConaughey was able to get in touch with Anne Hathaway. And Anne Hathaway's like, I'm coming, Matthew.
So he does, once McConaughey does it, because he can hear him, like, over there, and he looks, and he's like, oh, fuck. And then he, like, starts hustling.
Oh, no, I don't think... No, he doesn't ever hear
He looks back and sees him doing it.
He does?
For sure, yeah.
Okay.
So Hathaway goes, and she saves him. And he's like, Matt Damon's lying. This bullshit. We're not going to be able to live here. He tried to kill me. And they start trying to tell Romley. And as they're trying to tell Romley, McConaughey's compound explodes. Which, Braden, how did that happen?
Because Matt Damon coded into the old SARS that was on his ship to explode, but he had it set up to where he thought he was going to be able to do like a time, like a perfectly kind of time thing where he was going to be able to steal the other people's spaceship as they're maybe working on that, and they all die, maybe that, and then he takes the spaceship and then goes back up to the
But because they were working on the thing, it went off. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, how did he make a bomb on the thing?
He told them right before they walked off, too, which we didn't touch on.
That he was going to work on it. He's like, it needs a human touch.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Right.
So he had Romley work on it specifically to kill him.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
Which is fucked.
Yeah. So they're going. Damon steals their ship and he's leaving the atmosphere. They chase after him in another ship. He's trying to dock it at the space station, but can't get it in correctly. Mm-hmm. Yep. Alarms are going off. They're like, they can't open the hatch. It's open. McConaughey and Hathaway keep radioing in. They're like, hey, don't try to open the hatch. It's going to be depressurized, blah, blah, blah.
And he cuts off the communication.
And he just cuts everything off. He's overriding all the alarms. Like, I'm going to be fine.
Then Anne Hathaway, like, hacked into the speakers.
Open the main thing. She's like, don't open the hatch. And he's like, I have to. I'm doing this for humanity. And she's like, no, you need to listen to me. Don't open the... And then he...
When he says, there's a moment. And the moment he says, there's a moment, he clicks a button to, like, manually override it to open it, and everything just explodes.
Just explodes, and you see it from his thing, and then as Anne Hathaway is like, no, listen to me, you can't do... And then you see it from her perspective. The whole thing blows up.
Yeah, and they're freaking out.
Debris flying everywhere. The space station's spinning out of control. And McConaughey is still able... He's a fucking badass. He's still able to, like, fly the thing over there. He's spinning with it, and he's able to dock it. It's insane what he's able to do here.
So this is, like... They start playing another great song by...
Dude, the score is fantastic.
Yeah, the score is fantastic. I believe it is... Let me see. I think it is... it's either maybe First Step or What Happened... No. I think it's First Step. Or maybe it's...
I mean, how are we doing on time here? Because this is...
No, it's doing pretty good. So, fun fact, everyone, during the docking scene that we're talking about, you can see when...
Nope, stop. They start playing a song here that I think is from First Step. Like, you started saying who did the song, and now you're like,
well,
all
it's
right,
by Hans Zimmer.
different.
I'm saying the song that's called, I think it's called First Step, is the name of the song.
Why'd you add that to this? You're not even sure it's called First Step?
Well, I'm not 100% sure, but I think it is. I'm looking at I have the songs pulled up, but they don't. No one ever puts it exactly where it is in the movie.
Did you just want to fill air with that comment?
No.
I think it's First Step. It's fucking nonsense.
All of these songs
that is
are
nonsense.
Fucking
what you're
phenomenal.
Saying. You don't even know this song. It might be called First Step.
David, it's phenomenal.
What's your fun fact?
So, Endurance, the ship that they're trying to dock to, is spinning at like a super high rate that they need to match that exact speed. So Matthew McConaughey tells TARS to match that speed, and they're going to try and dock while spinning as fast as Endurance to be able to properly dock. And you can see Cooper, he tries to push his head the opposite way of where they're spinning compared to Anne Hathaway in the scene. And Anne Hathaway, she passes out within seconds.
Wait, Anne Hathaway and who are in this scene?
Matthew McConaughey.
Okay.
Yeah. And so Matthew McConaughey is pushing his head the opposite direction of which they're spinning to try and not pass out. He even says, Tars, grab the wheel if I pass out. And Anne Hathaway passes out immediately because she doesn't try and fight the way that they're spinning. So she like loses the blood to her head really quick and passes out. Matthew McConaughey, you can see him forcefully trying to push in the opposite way, and that helps him stay awake as and just shows that he's like, you know, very experienced as someone who would be doing this in space.
Fucking space pilot. That's why they needed him.
Yeah.
He knew what the fuck was up.
Mm-hmm.
So
really quick, because we're on Dr. Mann as well. Dr. Mann's name, Matt Damon.
Who?
Matt Damon's
Who?
name. No, this is the fun fact.
No, who?
Dr. Mann.
Who?
Matt Damon.
Who?
Matt Damon.
Matt Damon. Come on.
So Matt Damon's name in the movie is Dr. Hugh Mann. And the reason why his name is Dr.
Are you fucking kidding me right now?
No, it's
this is
Hugh
a fucking joke of a
Mann,
movie. I did not know his first name was Hugh.
Yeah, so it implies that man is
That
the
he's
biggest. Yeah, well, and that it implies that human, is the biggest threat to humanity. So Dr. Hugh Mann is the biggest threat to this right now. This whole mission. Saying
This movie has gone from a C+ to a C- because of that.
Hell no.
It went from 78 in my book. It is 7.
That's clever.
It is
awesome. I love it.
It is a 7 out
Oh,
of 10.
come on. You
right
can't tell
now.
me you don't love that.
I hate that.
Oh,
It's clever.
Yeah.
We call him Hugh Man.
Yeah.
Because he's human. There's a Family Guy episode where...
Well, it's not just because he's human. It's because he's human's biggest threat.
There's a Family Guy episode where Brian's writing his book, and he's like, the main character is going to be Norm Hall. He's just a normal guy. Yeah, I like that. That's what that reminds me of. This is ridiculous. So they're on the space station. They're on Endurance, and now they're getting sucked into the black hole.
Yeah, they dock it, and then they're now going to be approaching the black hole. But they say how, okay, well, we don't have enough fuel to get to Edmund's planet. So what we're going to do is we're going to slingshot around the black hole and use the black hole to help like sling us out. And then we're going to use like all of our fuel right as we're slingshotting around the black hole. And we're also going to drop TARS into the black hole to get data.
Explains that, and Anne Hathaway's like, you can't drop TARS, what are you doing? He's like, TARS is he says, TARS is a robot. We can do whatever we want to him. And then TARS chimes in and goes, this was the plan earlier, Anne Hathaway. We talked about this.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. And then, they're doing that. And after they drop TARS through the black hole, Matthew McConaughey says, he says something cool to Anne Hathaway. Do you remember what he says? It's like, oh, this was the plan the whole time.
She's like, you lied. We didn't have enough resources for both of us. And he says, like, you gotta sacrifice something. It's like Newton's third law. Like something needs to be sacrificed or something like that.
Yeah. And then,
so he drops into the black hole.
Yeah, he drops into the black hole.
And guys, for like 20 minutes, this movie is just the trippiest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life.
And once again,
it is just wild.
No matter how trippy or out, crazy it seems, like this is, once again based on science.
Well, no, black holes aren't real.
Oh yeah, that's right. So TARS and Matthew McConaughey are able to stay in touch as they enter the black hole, and Matthew McConaughey is just going over like what he's seeing. There's like white,
but he loses TARS pretty quickly.
Well, he loses him, then he regains.
But so like here, he loses communication pretty quickly.
Yeah, like breaking the horizon, they lose communication, and he's just like saying. So maybe Anne Hathaway or TARS or someone hears him, but he's just saying what he sees, and there's all this turbulence and all this like blackness around him where he doesn't see anything, and all this like all of a sudden like white sand or something is like hitting. It's not sand, but it's
just shit, and it's black hole shit.
Yeah,
we don't need to describe what it's black hole shit. Everyone knows it's black hole shit.
Yeah, and then so shit starts.
He blacks out.
Yeah, well, he starts to black out as the turbulence gets worse, and it starts like destroying his spaceship, and all he hears is was it pull the chute or something, or what's it?
It's so back to where I thought the movie started. He hears the lady's voice, and it's like, you got to eject, pull the chute, pull the chute. So he pulls the chute and he ejects out of the thing.
Which is like, dude, if I'm in a black hole, I don't know if I'm going to pull the chute.
But like that's his instinct. Like he's not like he hasn't fully come to. He's just hearing that and went on instinct from what happened earlier and just fucking all right.
So now he's just like So now he's like floating in this like black space. But it's like he's falling, and then we notice this what is known as a. You don't know what it is. It's just like this bubble of something underneath him that he's falling towards, but it is what is ended up known as a tesseract, I guess. But he's falling through.
Which tesseract is what?
From like Avengers or something.
Yeah, that's what Loki had. Yeah, the first one.
And he's like falling through a tesseract. It's like never-ending tesseract, and he's like freaking out. And he finally comes to like a stop, and he is just like losing his mind in what seems as an endless fucking like vortex of just walls. So he's in. I knew right away. You're describing it like it's like you have no idea what it is. The second he was in this place, I was like, oh, it looks like he's behind the bookshelf. Immediately, I was like, oh, this is wild. Like this is where this is going. Well, they show a bunch of lines that intercross in
ways. He's the ghost, guys. He's behind the bookshelf.
No, but
Braden's like pussyfooting around it.
No.
If you watch the movie, you're like, oh shit,
this
is
not
crazy.
Know. You would not know.
I did, and I'm not smarter than most of our listeners. All right?
Well, let me tell you, you're falling through, and it's just like lines intersecting each other that look almost like sacred geometry or something like that. And then he's just like stuck in the middle. He doesn't know what's going on. And then as he like starts to move freely through, you kind of start to see that it outlines bookshelves, and you just see like random memories that are happening in between these lines. It's going to be kind of hard to describe because this is something that is like a fifth dimensional realm that we're seeing playing out in a third dimensional way, where he's able to tap in to different time periods of his life and his daughter's life.
So I don't even know if it's his life. I think it's all in his daughter's room that he's looking at.
Yeah, so it's his daughter's
Which, you know what would have been great? If they just showed her like in high school, just getting railed by her boyfriend. If that's where they went, he's like, oh, come on, I don't want to see this. That would have been this movie would have gotten an A+ from me if that's what was happening.
If that's it, that raises the bar for David.
Absolutely.
So he's like searching through. He's like flying through this tesseract and trying to find different memories.
And so it's showing like every time the books fall in the room, it's showing.
Yeah, every time he like taps one of these walls, it's like he's tapping the bookshelf or he's tapping certain things. He basically finds out it's not just the bookshelf, but like he can touch any of these things and send this energy through gravity to manipulate the third dimensional world that he came
right
from.
now it is just the bookshelf.
Yeah, but then
so far. So let's stay on the bookshelf and say what he does, because he does all that other shit later.
Yeah.
So let's stay behind the bookshelf. He's knocking books off. He then sees like the moment when he said goodbye to Murph.
Yeah.
And he does the Morse code stay thing, and he's like, he puts it on Murph again. Matthew McConaughey's a horrible person. He's like, make me stay.
Yeah.
Make me stay, Murph. Make him stay.
Did we say in the beginning? So Murph ended up decoding it. He found coordinates from that, and then she.
I said he thought it was Morse code.
She found Morse code, and it said stay.
But he wasn't buying it at the time.
Yeah.
So he does it again. And all this, so like it's jumping back and forth. It's real trippy. Like you see her as a kid, and you keep seeing adult Murphy, who's Molly's game girl. You keep seeing her in the room as well because she's there. In present time.
Because he can like basically tap into any different time, showing that gravity travels through time, and that these fifth dimensional beings can manipulate time through gravity and other means, kind of like this, and kind of like showing it in a way to Matthew McConaughey to where he can understand how this works. So now he's like he's showing his daughter the watch. Is that the part we're at where
he's doing the watch, but before he sends it through the watch.
Oh, well, he starts to realize this whole thing.
Before he sends the message to her through the watch, Molly's game is like, oh, my, like, just stuff's going on in the room. She's like, Dad, it's you. You were my ghost all along.
Yeah.
How, like, it baffled me that she just put that together.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's fucking wild. Like,
yeah.
No. Like, in any real scenario, Molly's game is in a psych ward right now. She's like, you're out of your fucking mind. You're out of your fucking mind.
Well, I guess because,
you can't be around people.
Well, that's why Matthew McConaughey gave her that little spiel in the beginning. Like, you gotta can't be so superstitious. You got to get to the root. You got to ask why. You got to go over the facts, the evidence, analyze. So maybe why she didn't end up in a psych ward.
So then he sends a message. He's doing Morse code on the thing and sends a message to the watch.
And then right before the watch, though, he figures out what this all is. He's like, "Oh my God, this is fifth dimensional beings they're helping us show that we can cross time and space through gravity and through consciousness and through like this." He was just basically like starting to understand how this is able to happen. And then once he figures that out, he just goes over to one of the pieces of the fucking Tesseract or whatever and starts moving this little thing to
do Morse code. He's talking to Tars this whole time, and Tars sends him what Morse code would be for what he wants to say.
Yeah, and Tars helps him also, which I forgot to say, understand what is going on because he's freaking out at first. He's like losing his mind being in this, and then Tars is like end up able to get back in touch with him and saying like, what this is and everything like that. He's like, these fifth dimensional beings are helping you right now. So Matthew McConaughey starts like fidgeting and manipulating the watch that he gave her right before he left, and now older Murph, Molly's game. She notices that the watch is telling her Morse code.
Yeah, like the watch it's like bouncing back and forth from things, and
yeah. So she runs downstairs.
Real quick. So Foreman is just yelling to her up in the room. He's like, "Casey Affleck's coming. He's coming. I see the truck." And then like she's like, "I'm coming." Foreman is standing outside his car with a tire iron, like he's like, "I'm gonna murder Casey Affleck."
Yeah,
when he gets here, like
in
he's
front
just
of the family, and
he's
all.
just fucking down. I'm gonna kill him in front of his wife and his one living kid. His other kid's dead. I'm killing him in front of them. Like it's wild.
Yeah, and then
Molly's game runs down. Before anything happens, there she hugs Casey Affleck and goes, "It's Dad.
It was
Dad was
all
my
along.
ghost. Dad's gonna save us."
Yeah,
like there's no Casey Affleck would be like, "Oh, you're not well. Murph, we got to get you some help. This isn't good." Like,
yeah,
a
right?
good brother would be like, "Hey, let's go inside. Come on." Call someone. There's someone you need to talk to.
Yeah, and now everything's going to be great. And then we cut back to NASA or something like that, and she kisses Foreman and throws papers off, and she's like, "I fucking know."
She figured out the whole thing, and she yells, "Eureka!" and throws stuff over a balcony.
Yeah.
The papers of looks like she spent days working on all this math, and she just throws it. I'm sure it was in an order that it needed to be.
Yeah.
And she just throws it, so there's papers
I'm
scattered.
sure someone's got to make a copy of it.
Yeah.
Someone's got to rebundle it up,
Then she starts making out with Foreman. And then we're back in space real quick, and it shows when they're going through the wormhole, McConaughey goes to that part, and he's the one who reaches out and grabs Anne Hathaway's hand.
Yeah.
It's like full circle with that one.
Pretty cool. But then the fifth dimensional beings bring him back to his solar system and put him right outside one of the ships or something like that.
It's like you see a ship off in the distance coming up. And
then next thing you know, he wakes up. He is in the hospital. A doctor is greeting him and saying something like, "You're okay." And
he's 124 years old.
Yeah, he's 124 years
Matthew
old.
McConaughey doesn't look a day over. He's 51 right now. This movie came out 7 years ago. He was 44 at the time. Doesn't look a day over 44.
Yeah, looks
But
great.
he's 124 years old.
Yeah, and then the doctor's like, "Welcome to Cooper Station." He's like, oh, and looks outside and he notices that we're in the station that we originally were at in NASA. It looks like someone was able to figure out the equation to gravity and how to power the ship.
He also says, "That was nice of you to name the station after
Exactly.
me."
And then the doctor laughs and goes, "We didn't name it after you. We named it after your daughter."
Yeah, Murphy Cooper.
Yeah.
She'll be here in a few weeks.
And then he was just like, "Oh my God, I can't believe it."
They're giving him a tour around. His farm's on the station, and there's the video of all the old people talking earlier, and it's his kids, and they're like, "Our daddy was a farmer," like the stuff in the beginning.
Yep.
And it's at the farm, and the guy
gets to the farm. He says some Matthew McConaughey shit.
So the guy who's showing him that, he's like, "Yeah, Dr. Murphy or whatever the fuck they're calling her. She said you loved farming, so we wanted to have this on here."
She did, did she?
Yeah, and he laughs about it because the whole thing, he fucking hates farming, hated that he had to do it, but it was necessary for life.
And he's like, "I don't like pretending like things were back where they were."
This is later.
No, this is him at the house though, right before.
This is later because he's saying this to Tars, who is broken down in his house, and he's like, I'm I'm gonna fix him up. Yeah, this is later. Tars is there. He fixes Tars up.
Yeah, he spends like a night at his old house.
Yeah, and he's there, and now he's talking to Tars. There's a whole thing. He
says something about like
honesty level 95%, humor 75%, and then Tars makes a joke, and he goes 70%.
Yeah,
and then Tars says knock knock, and he goes, "You want to go down to 55?"
Yeah. Oh man, gotta love Tars in that comedy, right? But he's like,
then he's talking,
and it's like, what car is he sponsored by? Was that a fucking Buick?
Lincoln.
The
Lincoln lawyer.
Yeah, what am I talking about? Says some like Lincoln commercial fucking shit where he's like, I don't like thinking we're stuck in the past. I want to know where we are.
Stuck in the past, looking to the future.
Where we're going. And then pops up at the hospital.
Murph is in the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Her whole family is there. They bring him in. Murph, look at this. What a fucking character arc.
Yeah.
She is now being played by Ellen Burstyn, who's the mom from The Exorcist.
Yeah.
Murph went from some fucking no-name kid to Molly's Game to the mom from The Exorcist.
Look at that.
That fucking character arc. You can't beat it.
Can't.
You can't beat it. What a life.
Mm-hmm. So she is the savior of the human race, and everyone thinks it was solely her, and she keeps telling everyone that, it was because of her father's help, that because of the, Morse code.
The ghost.
Yeah, he was the ghost, and no one believed her, but she knew, and she kept wearing that watch, and God fucking damn, that shit was so sad. Just watching Matthew McConaughey just be like, and what did your dad tell you? And she said, my dad said he would be back, or something like that. Like, he would come back. And he's like, yes.
And he goes, I'm back, and I'm here now. And then she goes, no.
Yeah. She goes,
no father should have to watch their child die.
Yeah.
Because she's 100.
Yeah, she's 100 years old. She goes, I have
movie.
my children now. I'm going to spend my time with them. You go to Brand.
She says, you go. And he goes, go where? And she goes, go to Anne Hathaway.
Yeah, go to Anne
Brand
Hathaway.
doesn't exist. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So then Matthew McConaughey, he goes and grabs Tar. Well, you don't really see this, but you just see them jumping into the ship, and they're stealing a ship, and
they're going. So Edmonds is dead on that planet.
Yeah. And it's just Anne Hathaway by herself.
She's there. She's set up a camp, and that's where I assume everyone's heading there. I assume that's going to be the new Earth.
And another little cool time.
Right, real quick. That's going to be the new Earth, right?
Yeah,
Like, that's where they're heading. Looks like it's sustainable, and she's living there.
100%.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And a cool little fun fact, which I'm just putting this fun fact together. This wasn't from online or anything.
I don't believe you because I don't trust most things.
Well, we started the movie with an older person talking, and we're ending the movie with an older person voiceover. So now it is Matthew McConaughey's daughter, Murph, but an older Murph talking about like going and saving Brand, and how she's Anne Hathaway, and how she's out there all alone, and how I don't know,
older Murph.
Yeah,
you mean Ellen Burstyn
from The Exorcist?
Yeah, the mom from The Exorcist.
Oh yeah, her. And yeah, and then as she's saying this, you're seeing Matthew McConaughey and Tars getting in the spaceship and taking off, and some guy ended up like going into the whatever you call it, like the docking station or something,
like the hangar,
and noticing it's gone. It's like, oh shit!
he didn't panic really. It was just like, huh?
Yeah,
thought there was a spaceship here a minute ago.
To me, this doesn't make sense because I'm like, don't
guys,
they have to open
real quick? That's where the movie ends.
Yeah, that's where the movie ends.
That's the last thing we see.
It was the last thing. Was that the last thing we saw? Yeah. It was him pointing out towards space and like leaving.
Yeah,
right?
him leaving. Yeah.
And a couple little things about that. I'm like, there's got to be a huge alert system on this spaceship if another spaceship is docking or leaving.
You would have had to open something.
No, exactly.
It would have been loud as fuck.
You're opening the literal vacuum to space, which anything else in there is going to get sucked out. Didn't make any sense to me either. You know what I'm saying? Like everything else that's into
Dr. fucking whatever Krill about this.
Yeah, Crip Thorn or something like that.
Crip Thorn.
Yeah.
Krill Thorn.
Something like that.
Yeah. Ask him about it.
Yeah.
Doc, where you at? No one else comment under this one, but I want him to comment under this.
Yeah.
Explain that to us.
Yeah. And honestly, personally, I want an Interstellar 2. I want them, even though it's like, well, what else can you really do? I don't know. Find a way.
So I did I Googled it. As of June of this year, there's no plans for it.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
I love the way you said that.
But everything I read, they're like, but Christopher Nolan keeps everything close to the vest.
He does. Everything's very secretive.
Yeah, so like, who the fuck knows?
Another cool little thing, the way that they do the scripts, Christopher Nolan scripts are always red, so no one can copy them or
Watch me.
Yeah, right. So yeah, usually scripts are white, but his are red. So kind of cool.
I can make a red script. What do you? Yeah. No one can copy. I'll go make a red script.
It would be really funny if one of the actors is like, "No, I can't do this. I only write in red ink. So all the notes I'm going to make, it's not gonna go well."
It'd be great. But Christian Bale did that. He's like, I don't fucking write anything other than red ink.
Like, fuck you. We're getting Matthew McConaughey.
Get me a new script.
Which, fun fact,
Matthew McConaughey was pegged to play, or Christian Bale was pegged to.
No.
Movie?
Well, the reason why Christopher Nolan picked Matthew McConaughey was because of seeing his performance in the movie.
In Tiptoes. I don't even care what the real movie was. It's in Tiptoes. We're moving on.
Yep.
Seeing his performance in Tiptoes. Don't say.
I'm not going to say the movie. I'm going to recall. What Nolan recalled. This is the quote of what he said about his performance. In Tiptoes, I didn't know how much potential he had until I saw Tiptoes.
I mean, absolutely.
Not just as a leading man, but sheer acting talent.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Tiptoes, man.
And anyone who didn't take that away from Tiptoes is out of their mind. This is Christopher Nolan, one of the top film writers of our time.
And to think Matthew McConaughey didn't win an award for Best Actor in Tiptoes,
it's baffling.
Yeah, baffling.
Baffling.
To this day.
But guys, that's Interstellar. I give it like a high C. It was good. Braden gives it a 9.9.
Yep. 10, really. I mean, fuck it, right?
No, you're not giving it a 10.
All right, 9.9. Okay.
Not giving it a 10.
9.9.
Where we at on time, Braden?
Oh, David. We're doing fantastic. We're at 1 hour and 50 minutes.
Look at that. Guys, this is a 3-hour movie that we just condensed in under 2 hours. We just stuffed 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag.
Yeah, we did.
Braden, we're nailing it.
We are nailing it. And, I'm happy that we were able to go through it in such a way where we didn't just, soak up so much time going over every fucking line or something. I mean, I'm impressed.
I mean, there weren't that many good lines.
This is kind of like that whole time dilation thing that Matthew McConaughey did when he fucking shoops around the black hole. It's like us.
It's nothing like that.
No?
No, not at all. Huh. Not at all. Yeah. It was dumb. It's dumb what you said.
Sorry, my bad.
Next week, we're going to have to go over every line, savor every detail. Because next week, guys, we're doing a movie that's very near and dear to my heart.
Oh, what movie?
It's a 2020 thriller/thriller. You normally get like action/thriller, stuff like that, or romantic/comedy. This movie's so thrilling, they're like, it's a thriller.
Ooh.
The 2020 thriller, Unhinged, starring Russell Crowe.
Wait, hinged or unhinged?
I mean, you say that as if there's a chance I said hinged.
I'm just making sure everyone heard.
And
properly.
I like what? What were you hoping to get out of that comment?
Just wanted to hear it twice out of your mouth, David. That's all.
Starring Russell Crowe. Guys, I could not recommend this movie any more than I do. If you have not seen it, please go see it. Even if you don't listen to next week's podcast, go watch this movie. It's available on Amazon Prime Video with a subscription. You can rent it on YouTube or Google Play for $2.99. Or if you want to pay a little extra, you can go to Apple TV and rent it for $3.99. Or if you're just feeling rich and you're like, I want to throw my money away, you can rent it on Vudu for $5.99. Guys, Unhinged, great movie. Go watch it. We're breaking it down next week. Guys, real quick, if you're listening to this episode and you haven't downloaded it, please download it.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this episode and you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button.
Yeah, go
it
ahead.
Helps the podcast out a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're listening to this and you're like, man, I love the podcast. I just wish there was like somewhere where I could follow the 5-6 Kings where, you know,
stay more up to date and
you know, they got pictures or videos, or I could DM them with movies that I'd like to see broken down.
Mm-hmm. Where could you find that, David?
Oh, you can find it on Instagram.
Yeah.
At 5-6 Kings. That's at FIVE SIXKINGS. Guys, follow us on Instagram at 5-6 Kings.
Guys, that was Interstellar, and I have to say again, go listen to the entire score of Hans Zimmer, whatever,
Hans.
whichever.
Hans. It's Hans. It's not Hans. There's no way it's Hans.
Yeah, you're right.
Could you imagine? I'd be so let down if it's like, oh, it's Hans.
No,
It has to be Hans.
yeah, no, it's definitely Hans. Definitely go listen to all the songs. You won't regret it. You'll thank me later. But yeah, that was Interstellar.
You might regret it if you do that, but you won't regret watching the movie Unhinged, starring Russell Crowe. It's a 2020 thriller. Guys, go check it out. Thank you so much for listening. I don't say this enough, but like if Braden and I were the only two people that listened every week, I wouldn't have been surprised. The fact that anyone is listening to this blows my mind. Very grateful.
So thank you.
Very humble for it. Thank you for listening. Check us out next week. And next week, it's going to be...
yeah, we're back on schedule, baby.
It's going to be what day, Braden?
Every motherfucking Monday!
Every motherfucking Monday. Thanks for listening, guys.
Peace out.
Beach County, that's where I'm from. When niggas get gunned down and left slump, we don't just for fucking round. This ain't the county for you bitches to come around.